A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Is anybody?
There's Molly, folks. That means your friends the Goldbergs are here. Brought to you by Does, the new kind of soap for everything in your wash. First, let's drop in on the Dozen family. Well, Ma Dozen's in the kitchen. And here comes Unky Dozen, all excited.
Say, Ma, while I was hanging up your wash just now, along comes that snooty Mrs. Vandermore.
Goodness, what'd she want?
Well, she put them fancy glasses up to her eyes and says, "My good man, did you do that magnificent-looking wash?"
She did?
Yeah, and I says, "My good woman, Does did everything." And guess what, Ma? She didn't even know what Does is.
Huh, well, I hope you told her.
Sure. I says, "Really, Mrs. Vandermore, you astound me. Does is a new kind of soap for everything. Work clothes, towels, to pretty rayon panties."
What'd she say?
She said, "You mean Does is the only soap you use to get those work shirts so clean?" "You bet," I says. Does gets tough dirt out all by itself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need a bar soap anymore.
Did you tell her there's no hard scrubbing neither? No soap I ever used gets clothes clean easier and does.
Sure. Then I showed her them dazzling white towels, and she looked as if she couldn't believe her eyes.
I've always said you can't beat Does for really whitewash.
Yep. And when she saw Daisy's pretty rayon doodads, she said, "You mean with all that tremendous cleaning power, this Does washes those nice colors too?"
Did you tell her that's the wonder of Does? It's actually safer for the delicate colors of wash.
Sure did, Ma. Then she looked at me and she says, "My good man, you seem to be an expert. Could I get you to wash for me?"
What'd you say?
Well, I said, "Gosh, no, but you can get Does. Does will do everything."
Yes, Unky Dozen's right. Why, compared to other leading granulated wash day soaps, Does gives longer life to colors, plus unsurpassed whiteness and real cleaning power for the dirtiest clothes. Better try Does, D-U-Z. It does everything in your wash. And now the Goldbergs. Well, Molly Goldberg's little plan to find out the secret which is driving her niece and husband apart is beginning to bear some fruit. Whether the results will prove helpful or not is still a question. The evening isn't over yet, and Dr. Cater is talking to Anne Franklin. Anne is the woman who has urged Florence to go ahead with her divorce. Anne seems to be the driving force in the lives of both Florence and her husband. And Molly, with her intuition working overtime, asked Cater's help. Cater is a famous psychiatrist, home on leave from the Army. Being an old friend of Molly's, he volunteered to do what he could. Whether or not he meets with success, only the future can tell. Listen.
Rosalie, help me with the dishes, dear.
I'm coming, Ma.
Then do so. Jake.
You told me to get logs for the fireplace.
Jake, come here, dear, please.
I'll be there in a minute.
Rosalie, what did I told you?
But, Ma, there were some dishes on the table.
But what did I told you?
You told me to keep out of the dining room so Anne and Dr. Cater could be alone.
I did, so too.
Well, I didn't interrupt them.
They're talking?
And how?
Who? Anne or Dr. Cater?
Both.
In syllables or sentences?
In paragraphs.
Oh, here's a towel, darling. Fill the glasses, wipe. Let the dishes dribble off.
Leave the pots, Ma.
I'm doing so let me do. I'm nervous, so let me do. Where's Papa?
He's fixing the fireplace.
He's walking in and he's walking out.
Well, don't keep calling him, Ma.
So where is he?
He'll be in. You told him. He knows.
There's Uncle David.
He went upstairs and you told him to, Ma.
But I told you also.
Ma, please, don't be nervous.
I'm nervous.
To arrange this meeting and everything's going fine, so
I'm
just
nervous.
relax. Wash your dishes, or let me do them and you do something else, Ma, but please.
Rosalie, I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous, Rosalie. I'll save Florence's marriage. If there only at least wouldn't be a divorce. Rosalie, why do I not like divorces? Why does something come over me like a shiver comes over me? There are two people married for such a long time, suddenly.
Sometimes mine.
Sometimes what? I know all the sometimeses. I know all the excuses. But many times it's haste that makes waste.
You think that Anne has something to do with it?
I do, Rosalie. I do. I most certainly do, without a shadow. I do. I only hope Dr. Cater with his psychological diagnosis will discover what it is. Where's Papa?
Ma.
Oh, Rosalie, don't ma me. Rosalie, don't ma me when I'm nervous. Don't ma me, Rosalie. Please, wipe the glasses a good glass.
I am.
So gently, without questions, without answers. And don't make me nervous. Oh. Anne almost looks beautiful tonight for the first time. Maybe because she's talking about herself, I hope so.
Well, why should that make her look beautiful?
Yes, look how you're wiping my best glasses with the foot.
Oh,
please, don't break off the foot.
Ma, why is she talking about herself make Anne look beautiful?
Because if she's talking about herself, she's talking about the past. And when we remember back, so we remember good things. Oh, there's Papa.
Ma.
Yay!
Ma.
What am I saying? Oh, see my best glass?
Breaking up the house?
I'm sorry, Dr. Cade.
Who broke what?
A glass, Jake. Only a glass.
Oh.
Everybody's so nervous.
Well, Doctor, are you piecing together the mystery?
Is she talking, Doctor?
Anne Franklin is...
No, Anne. Nothing. Rosalie just broke a glass. Oh. My best glass, but broke is broke. Look how, dear, you'll get splinters.
No, it's all right, Ma.
You want to help pick up the broken pieces, Anne?
Yes.
Don't bother, please. If you'll go inside, I'll sweep it up and it'll be like nothing ever was broken, huh? Please.
I don't know why you won't ever let me help you, Mrs.
I would if you would like to.
Where are the matches?
Maybe don't bother with the fireplace.
Oh, please. It would be lovely to have a fire.
Well, here are the matches.
You want me to help you, Pa?
No, Papa don't want you to help him. Rosalie, you stay here and help me. Let Papa go inside, and he'll fix the fire. And, Jake, dear, please don't linger too long because I want to consult you, so don't linger, dear.
I won't linger.
I'll help with the fire.
I'm very good at starting fires. Let me do it.
The logs are all here, just to the lid.
Oh, fine.
Jake, dear, my big flat, I can't put it up if you reach it for me, please.
Anything, my dear. That will be some fire in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it simmer.
Yes, I'll watch it.
Jake!
Coming.
It's cozy as an old married couple.
A fire does do that, doesn't it?
Yes, in a way. You smoke?
Of course.
Then have one of these.
Thank you.
We're cozier than a married couple. We don't know each other, and that makes our conversation interesting.
I'd believe you if I didn't know that you were happily married.
I don't recall saying anything about happiness. I said this was cozy and interesting.
You've been playing with words all evening.
Have I?
Yes.
Well, it's only because I don't really know how to talk to a woman who's equal to a man.
What?
Yes. I'm a firm believer in the equality of the sexes. You know what marriage is. It's a way to enslave one half the population of the world in favor of the dominant sex, the male. Marriage is a sweatshop for a woman. It kills her interest.
You're not serious.
Oh, actually, I don't mean marriage. I mean the way marriage works out. Woman getting the housework and the care of the children, and the man the freedom of a job with grown-ups. What does a woman do? She spends her intellectual life, her thinking life, all alone at a washboard, ironing board, a sink, and in the company of children who have no minds at all, or neighbors who are equally exploited.
Pardon me, my pipe. I got it. Coming.
Yes, marriage is the worst slavery for a woman. And I can see you believe it, too. Or else a woman as attractive and intelligent as yourself would long ago have been married. But you were wise. You chose bachelorhood and a career. I'd toast you if I had a drink.
You don't believe all that.
I believe some of it.
Then you're not so wise.
Why not? Of course, I don't pretend to know what goes on inside your heart or mind.
You talk as if I'd never been in love.
Oh, I'm sure you have, but only when you were young and foolish.
You don't think I have feelings?
I only think you've put them in their place, down in the cellar with all the other rude and vulgar instincts.
Not so.
Don't tell me you've had a secret. You mean you're as bad as the other women? You want love and security and marriage?
Why not?
Don't you think I'm human?
I thought you were emancipated. Say.
Why should I? You're a stranger.
Well, that's why. You'll never see me again.
I have nothing to say.
You wanted to.
I've changed my mind.
Then you admit you had a mind to talk.
I admit nothing. Why should I?
For the sake of our conversation and the fire.
What do you think of me?
What do you want me to say?
Am I attractive, ugly, foolish, clever? What?
Why should you care what I think? I'm a stranger.
That's right. There should be only one person whose opinion I value.
Just as I thought.
What?
You're still in love with love. A woman like you, so successful and mature.
Excuse me. I left my matches. I got it. Tommy.
Do you think people can live by themselves without love? Do you think it's possible to be alone and prisoner of your own feelings with no one to...
To what?
Nothing. Put another log on the fire. I want to see it blaze.
And so do I. Well burned. Logs, wood, coal. They're queer.
In what way?
There's so much fire in them once you set them off.
Cater seems satisfied with himself. A vague smile wrinkles his eyes, as if he had come to a decision, one that he expected. But Anne is gloomy and uneasy, and the fire blazes up. You know, some people find it hard to make new friends. And other people, well, they just naturally seem to find friends everywhere. You know, young Daisy Dozen's that way. Why, just yesterday, Daisy Dozen said...
Oh, I met the cutest man. He actually shaves already, and he likes dolls. He clerks in the store, and he sells more dolls than anything. He's wonderful.
Ah, man after my own heart, Daisy. Because the more dolls he sells, the happier lots of ladies will be on wash day. You see, this new kind of soap does everything in your wash. Work shirts, towels, to rayon slips. Why, compared to other leading granulated wash day soaps, Does gives longer life to the nice colors you wash, plus unsurpassed whiteness for towels and real cleaning power for the dirtiest clothes. Yes, even in the toughest wash, Does does everything. Now, friends, if your dealer is out of Does, he'll have more soon. Meantime, don't waste Does. Remember, soap contains vital warm materials, so measure your Does carefully into your machine. See that every bit of Does you use does more. Be sure to listen to the next episode of The Goldbergs, written for you by Gertrude Berg. Molly and Cater match opinions with surprising results. This is Clayton Collier speaking and reminding you to do as the Dozens do. Let Does, the new kind of soap, do everything in your wash.
The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A pair of bandits are staging a rapid-fire campaign of holdups in your city. In 21 days, 11 food markets have been robbed. The holdups go on. The suspects are still unidentified. Your job? Get them. Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, September 26th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. It was 9:18 a.m. when I got to the record bureau. Lieutenant Cunningham's office.
Joe, what's doing?
Oh, not too much. Got a job you can do for us, Frank. Like to have it as soon as you can get it out.
Oh, what's it about?
Only these market bandits. We've already gotten out a dozen teletypes and bulletins on them. Like to get out some mimeographs, too, if we can.
General distribution, eh? What do you want on them?
Well, I better lay out the whole thing for you. A lot of the copies are going to the Retail Grocers Association, all their members.
No luck with those 2 fees so far, huh?
No. We're no closer than we were 3 weeks ago. Figure this ought to plug another loophole.
How many copies do you figure you want on this? About 1,000?
Yeah, that's fine. That ought to do it.
All right. Okay, now where do you want to go in it, Joe?
Well, you better lead off with the first job they pulled. That was on the 3rd of this month. Makes it a little better than 3 weeks now. They hit a supermarket out on Pico.
Okay.
Got it? Ever since, they've averaged about 3 jobs a week. We know they're hitting nothing but supermarkets. All of them on main thoroughfares, no small neighborhood stuff.
I got it.
So far, they've confined their operations to the 77th Street Division and the county territories, generally the south end of town. They're 2 men, and they got a pretty well-established M.O.
Well-established M.O., okay.
They're hitting in the morning hours, usually from the time the markets open up until around noontime. They use a stolen car. 95% of the time, a car stolen from the industrial area. Cars they steal for the jobs are always either a Pontiac or Nash.
Yeah.
We also know they're dropping the stolen cars within a short radius of the holdup scene, about a half a dozen blocks or so. In some instances, they use a second automobile or public transportation, some kind of bus or streetcar, to make their getaway after they drop the stolen car.
Joe.
I'm sorry. A little fast, huh?
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Well, they usually pull up and park directly in front of the market that they're going to hold up. One of the men always remains in the car behind the wheel. Apparently, it's always the same man.
His description?
Meager. We know he's good size. MWA. Fairly large build. Here's about the best description we've been able to piece together on the second man. Picked up a little bit from each victim.
All right.
Second man described as MWA also. About 5'8", medium build, 155 to 160 pounds. Always wears a hat. Brown suit, rough material of some kind, maybe tweed. Want to smoke, Frank?
Huh?
Smoke.
Oh, no.
All right. When he enters the market for the holdup, the second man always holds a white handkerchief to his face as if he's wiping his eyes. Keeps most of his face covered with it during the robbery. He's armed with a nickel-plated revolver, possibly 38 caliber. We know the jobs are well cased because in almost every instance the suspect goes directly to the manager of the market.
Directly to the manager.
He hands the manager a brown paper sack, tells him to put the money in it, and then he takes off. So far, he's never attempted any rough stuff, no gunplay. On 3 occasions, when the suspects got only small amounts of money at one market, they hit again in 15 or 20 minutes at another store in the same general area. They never make any attempt to disguise or conceal the license number on the getaway car. As I say, they always abandon the car a short distance from the holdup scene.
Let's see, Okay, I got it.
Well, that's about all of it, Frank. I guess you can boil that down into some kind of shape, huh?
Yeah, okay. I'll have it typed up in the form. I'll get you a copy before we make the run, see if it's okay with you.
Fine, thanks.
Not going so good, huh?
No, it isn't, Frank. Pretty slow. We've been on top of this thing for a couple of weeks now. We're still looking for some kind of a break.
See, I understand Glenn Chandler from your office took off for some fishing down in Mexico, huh?
Yeah. Not doing bad from what I hear. I got a card from him yesterday. He's down by Keno Bay. He put the bite on me to send him a dozen martin plugs.
Fish must be hitting pretty good down there.
That's what he says, yeah. Those big brown sea bass especially. I wouldn't mind getting in a couple of days down there myself.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Regan, Bureau, Cunningham. Yeah, just a minute. You, Joe.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. When? All right. Yeah, okay. Right away. Yeah, fine. Check that for me later, Frank. Might be a little change.
What's the matter?
Market bandits. They hit again.
These days, most commercial banks seem to be interested in talking to you about themselves and telling you what to do. But at San Juan Bank, California, we prefer a different approach, one that most banks don't use. We listen to your needs, to your plans, to your dreams. We found that only by listening can we truly understand. Without understanding your business, no one should be giving you advice. But listening, understanding, and fulfilling the needs of thousands of California businesses is why San Juan Bank is the 3rd largest bank headquartered in California, something you may not have known. San Juan bankers are relationship-oriented and experienced in working with businesses large and small. Our senior relationship managers will work directly with your staff to create the solutions you need today and beyond. So see your Sandwell banker. There are more than 100 offices statewide, or call 1-800-400-2781. When you do, we'll do something that you just might not have experienced in quite a while. We'll listen.
Sandwell Bank, California. A relationship worth having.
Finding out you or a loved one has cancer is never easy. It's natural to be afraid when faced with the decision of choosing a cancer treatment. This is the cancer itself. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center is the result of 4 decades of leading-edge cancer research and treatment. Opened in 1990, the Proton Treatment Center offers a non-surgical procedure that is superior to traditional radiation therapy in a number of ways. Proton therapy is so precise, there is little or no damage to surrounding tissue. This results in minimal side effects, and most patients experience no disruption in their daily activities. In fact, proton therapy is offered as an outpatient procedure. Call 1-800-PROTONS for a free information packet and videotape explaining the benefits of proton therapy. 1-800-PROTONS. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center. 1-800-PROTONS.
KNX 1070 News Radio.
9:38 a.m. Ben and I got in the car and drove to the scene of the bandits' latest holdup, a new supermarket out on Slauson near the intersection of South Broadway. After interviewing the manager of the store and all available witnesses to the robbery, there wasn't much doubt about the identity of the suspect. The description and M.O. fitted perfectly with that of the 2 men who'd been staging a whirlwind campaign of market robberies throughout the south end of the city for the past 3 weeks. The approach and execution of the holdup was the same in every detail, even to the stolen car they'd used, which was found abandoned a short distance from the robbery scene. There was only one deviation, and it was the first break we'd had in the case since it started. A woman customer at the market, a Mrs. Thomas Swanson, saw the holdup man as he left the store and ran to the getaway car. She told us that the car door apparently stuck when he tried to pull it open, and that he took away the handkerchief which he'd held to his face in order to pull the door open with both hands. During those few seconds, she got a good look at him. After taking the crime report and making our preliminary investigation, we brought Mrs. Swanson downtown. We had her check through mug books of all recent parolees from the state penitentiary, all ex-convicts with robbery records. After a couple of hours of checking mug shots, she couldn't seem to make positive identification.
Very sorry, officer. It just gets a little confusing after a while looking at all these pictures. I did get a good look at the man's face. I just can't settle on one of these pictures, though.
Well, from what you did see of him, Mrs. Swanson, the lower part of the man's face especially, can you find a good likeness in any of these?
Well, yes, I can find good likenesses for some of his features, but none of them are all together in any one of these pictures here. Like the mouth and chin on this man here.
Yes, ma'am. Is that pretty close?
Almost exactly, I'd say. And then the nose on this one here, it's the very same.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't seen any picture that fits them all together. You know what I mean, don't you?
Yes, ma'am, I understand. Now, these 5 pictures here that you've picked out, you pretty much say that they incorporate all the features of the man that you saw getting that
That's right, officer. This man here, and this one, too.
Uh-huh.
I'd say the lower part of his face is exactly like that. The small mouth and mustache just like that, and the chin pointed like on this man.
And the upper part of his face, would you say it resembles these others here?
Yes. These 3 here, just the upper part. You see, around the eyes, the forehead. I'd say that was very close.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just put the 2 sets of pictures together, I think you'd have the man perfectly. Sorry, I can't be more helpful. As I say, looking at all these books of pictures, it gets a little confusing.
Well, you've given us quite a bit of help, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Is there anything else?
No, thank you. Not right now. We've got your address and telephone. We'll probably be contacting you in a day or 2. If you'd like to wait right here, we'll make arrangements to have one of the officers drive you back to your home.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Goodbye, ma'am. We'll be talking to you.
Okay, yes, goodbye.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, it's more than we had yesterday. Her description's the best we've got on the guy so far.
How about getting a composite picture made up from the mug shots you picked out?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You want to duck in and get somebody to drive Miss Swanson home? I'm going to go in here in the captain's office.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, man.
Friday, how'd you make that?
Well, could have been worse, Captain.
Woman find anything in the mug books?
No positive identification. She picked out 5 of them she thought were close. I think maybe Putoff over at the crime lab ought to be able to make up a pretty good composite from them.
Mm-hmm. She's fairly positive about the man's description?
Yeah, seems to have a clear idea. Good composite ought to help us quite a bit.
You get this new description that mimeograph you're having made up?
No, not yet. I'm going to see Frank about it in a minute.
Hi, Skipper.
Ben?
Got a hold of Jeff Gonzalez, Joe. He's going to drive me to Swanson home.
Fine. Did you ask him if he checked on that last run we made through the staff's office?
Yeah, he picked it up. He and Frank Estrada are going to start checking the names this morning. It's not much of a list. Been pretty well picked over already.
Mm-hmm. So all you got from the witnesses out there this morning? Description from Mrs. Swanson?
Yeah, that's about it. The rest of it was their usual M.O. Swanson woman was the only one who got a good look at the guy when he took the handkerchief away from his face.
How about the getaway car they found?
Same as the others. Leighton Prince checked it over. It's clean.
Well, two thieves had their share of luck when we get ours.
How about Metro Division, Captain? Can we get any help out there?
What do you got in mind?
Well, we know the take that the two thieves got in that job this morning was pretty small for them, $340.
Yeah.
From their M.O. in the past, we know whenever they get a small take on a job, they usually hit another place fast. They work in a fairly concentrated area down the south end. They only go after big markets on the main thoroughfare.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was thinking if we could get some help from Metro, put maybe 15 or 20 crews down in the area for the next couple of days, might stand a good chance of grabbing them.
We were talking to Dick Tiernan over at the sheriff's office, Skipper. He says he could put some of his men down that area, too. Cover the county on the fringes, the territory around there. What do you think?
All right, fine. If I can get Stevens at Metro right now, set it up. So you've got 20 crews, is that right?
Just about, yeah. With any kind of luck at all, we ought to land them.
Well, sure worth a try. Lieutenant Stevens, please. Yeah, Joe, this is Harry Didion. Fine. We've got a little stakeout problem here. How about using some of your men? About 30. All right, I'll settle for 25. Yeah, south end of town. Those market bandits. Fine. Would you have them report here at robbery, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning? All right. Thanks a lot. It's all set. You got 25 men, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay, Skipper.
We'll give you a dozen teams to start with, and $1 in this crowd or one more. How many you figure working from the sheriff's office?
Oh, about 4 or 5 teams, I imagine.
All right, it's your operation. You two will be in charge on our end. You run the show, you brief them in. If you need anything, call me.
Right.
How about the overall plan, Skipper? You got any special ideas on it?
Just one.
Yeah?
Get them.
1:18 p.m. We got the revised description of one of the hold-up men to Lieutenant Frank Cunningham at the Record Bureau. He told us 1,000 copies of the special mimeograph form containing all available information on the two market bandits would be ready for us that night. We met with Sergeant Cutoff, the artist at the crime lab, and he went to work making up a composite picture of one of the suspects from the mugshot selected by the robbery witness, Mrs. Swanson. When the picture was completed, we had Mrs. Swanson check it for similarity to the actual hold-up man, and then we brought it back to the Record Bureau, where 1,000 copies were made of it. The pictures, along with the mimeograph forms, were sent immediately to the Retail Grocers Association for distribution to all market operators throughout the city. Additional copies of the picture and the information sheet were given to each man who was to work the stakeout when we met in the squad room at 7 o'clock the next morning. Besides the men from Metropolitan Division and the men from Robbery who were going to work with us, Lieutenant Dick Tiernan and Sergeant Dave Carey from the Sheriff's Office were also there for the briefing.
Well, briefly, that's the rundown on the two suspects and the M.O. they follow. It's the same information and description on them you'll find in those memo forms we handed out. Joe, you want to take over and give them their assignment?
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll just take a look at this pin-up map here for a minute. I'll try and brief you on how the stakeout's going to go. The way we got it figured, anyway. Well, we've worked out a plan we think ought to be the easiest and the best way to work it. If any of you have any suggestions as we go along, we'd sure like to have them. All right, now, as you can see from the map here, the stakeout area is in the south end. It runs from, can you all see it from there?
Yeah.
Okay. It runs from Santa Fe Avenue over here on the east to Vermont Avenue on the west, running north and south. Now, we'll have to cover from Santa Barbara Avenue on the north down to Manchester. That'll be the southern boundary right there. That's the area the thieves have been working. So we're going to have 14 of our own crews covering that area, and Dick Tiernan and Dave Carey from the Sheriff's Office will have their men covering adjoining county territory. Now, we've broken the map down into equal units, as you can see here. Each unit will be covered by one car, and each of you will be assigned a unit number. Romero and myself will be an 80K. We'll have a roving unit. We'll cover the entire area. You'll have three-way radios in your car, so you'll be able to contact us directly if you have to. Now, if you'll check the map again, you can see these green pins we've placed here. Oh, each one of them represents a market robbery. Now, notice that every one of them is on a main thoroughfare. See? Manchester, South Broadway, Vernon, South Hoover. Now, I don't have to tell you that that's where you'll have to keep a sharp watch on the main street. Each of the individual units here on the map will be covered by one car, as I said. Each one roughly 9 blocks square. Now, you'll be responsible for the area assigned to you. We haven't got too much time, so before we go down the list to assign the areas, have you got any questions? Any questions at all?
Yeah. Suppose there's a 211 call in somebody else's area. I mean, other than the one you're assigned to. Do we leave our area and head over there?
No, Jeff, I meant to bring that up. If there's a robbery call in somebody else's area, stay put till you get a call to lend a hand. Anything else?
Yeah, how about the managers of these markets? They've been briefed on the stakeout? I know we're going to be covering the area?
Yeah, they've all been alerted. Now, in case of a holdup, they might try to contact you directly. They'll be looking for you. You'll be looking for them. Is that it, Bob? This covered for you?
Well, yeah, but I'm just wondering about this number 2 suspect, the one who drives the getaway car.
Yeah.
Well, it says here the dope sheet number 1 suspect carries a nickel-plated revolver. Now, how about number 2? He carry a gun?
Well, I wish I could answer that. We don't know. All the information we got on him is on the sheet right there.
I see. Well, they never try any rough stuff anyway, do they? No gunplay. They never hurt anyone.
No, not yet. Don't let them make you the first. 7:30 a.m. We finished handing out the assignments, and the men left to take up their stakeout positions in the south end of the city. 2 men to a team, each team in a 3-way radio car, each car to patrol a designated 9-square block unit. There were 20 such units within the frame of the overall stakeout area. At the same time, cruiser cars from the sheriff's office, operating on their own radio setup, began patrolling the fringe positions which fell in county territory. Through Control 1 at our communications division, we kept in continual contact with them. 8 a.m. All the cars were in position, each of them patrolling their individual 9-square block unit. The first 2 hours passed. No reports, no sign of the market bandit. Between 10 a.m. and noon, half a dozen possible suspects were stopped and questioned by different teams and then brought to the 77th Street Division for processing. All of them were eliminated. The afternoon of the first day went pretty much the same. We had shakedowns on 4 parked cars in the area and more shakedowns on possible suspects. Nothing materialized. The next morning, Ben and I, along with the other 32 men in the stakeout, picked up where we left off. Again, no sign of the suspects, no report. The morning of the third day, the stakeout detail met in the squad room as usual and then left to take up their regular assigned positions. 7:35 a.m.
How about it, Joe? You ready to go?
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, let's go. I'll get it.
Okay.
Robbery Friday. Yeah. Where? When was that? Yeah, right away. Oh, come on, we gotta hurry.
What is it?
Market bandits. Maybe we got them. 7:50 a.m. Ben and I arrived at the intersection of 58th and San Pedro Street. 2 of our stakeout cruiser cars were pulled up at the southwest corner. One of the teams was Jess Gonzalez and his partner, Frank Estrada. Gonzalez briefed us on what had happened.
Victim's the owner of the supermarket down the block in San Pedro. He was walking from his house to the store, and he passed the corner here about 7:35 a.m. Had $340 on him. Part of yesterday's receipts from the store. They got him right up the street there, took every dollar of it.
You sure it was a market bandit?
MO description, they check out all the way. We had 2 teams on as soon as we got the word. Located the holdup car a minute ago.
Where is it?
Down on Avalon Boulevard.
Well, how about the thieves, Jess?
Car was empty, no trace of him.
It's a very good aerobic exercise to play John Adams music.
David Howard, clarinetist, Los Angeles Philharmonic.
His music is all about locomotion. He uses the orchestra as a machine, in the best sense. And we are little pistons in this engine. But boy, when all those pistons are working right, it's quite an effect.
Join David and the entire Los Angeles Philharmonic for an electrifying concert experience as composer John Adams conducts 2 of his own works, the Nixon Tapes and Century Rolls, featuring celebrated pianist Emanuel Axe. 3 performances beginning February 2nd. Tickets start at just $10 and are available at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion box office, online at laphil.org, or call Ticketmaster today at 213-365-3500. Los Angeles Philharmonic.
This is music that you can measure in megawatts. We've got a musical answer to the energy crisis coming with this concert.
It's been said 1 is a lonely number. So the 2 Paradise Chevrolet superstores, Paradise Chevrolet Temecula and Paradise Chevrolet Ventura, have come together with what else? But 2 great offers to close out January. Now you can lease a 2001 extended cab Silverado B truck at a great lease of only $199 plus tax per month. Or lease a 2001 Chevy Tahoe at an equally great lease deal of only $299 plus tax per month from Paradise Chevrolet Ventura and Paradise Chevrolet Temecula. That's $199 plus tax per month lease on an extended cab 2001 automatic Silverado with loads of Vortec V8 power and air, or $299 plus tax per month lease on a 2001 Tahoe LS with all the bells and whistles. The Paradise 1-800-281-4412 for Paradise Chevrolet Temecula. 800-281-4412. For Paradise Chevrolet Ventura, it's 1-888-5-CHEVY-5. 888-5-CHEVY-5. Ventura Auto Center, Temecula Auto Mall.
36-month Silverado lease with $6,200 down and 36-month Tahoe lease with $7,000 down. Both leases on approval of credit. 12K allowable miles per year, 20 cents for each excess mile. Chevy will be there.
Only to know. KIBM News Radio.
Saturday, 8:05 a.m. The latest victim of the market bandits, the owner of the supermarket on San Pedro Street, was taken to the 77th Street Division where the crime report was made. He told us that one of the men who robbed him bore a very close resemblance to the composite picture which we'd had drawn up of one of the suspects. We figured we missed grabbing the hold-up men by a matter of minutes. Even though some of our units were in the general area at the time of the robbery, it did little good. The victim had delayed reporting the hold-up for a full 5 minutes because the bandits had threatened to find him and kill him if he did. Despite the fact that they'd changed their M.O. to the extent of robbing the store owner on the street instead of in the market proper, we had no doubt that the same two men we were looking for had committed the hold-up. The abandoned car which they'd used in the robbery was gone over for fingerprints, but it was clean. Meantime, the stakeout went on. Saturday passed. Sunday, Monday, nothing. No leads on the suspects, not a trace of them. Tuesday, the same thing all over again. The operation settled down to a dull routine. Tuesday night, we checked the closing of the last market in our stakeout area. 10:45 p.m. Ben and I drove back to the 77th Street Division.
Every day seems to get a little longer. These lousy stakeouts sure don't wear very well on them.
Yeah, I don't know what the staff's going to be if we don't get a break pretty soon. We can't hang on to the gang for Metro Division forever.
Sure has been a bad month. All I need now is a visit from the in-laws. Yeah. That'd do it up fine.
You talked to Jess at dinner, didn't you?
Yeah.
What do you say about those two men they picked up on South Main this afternoon?
They brought them in for processing, checked them out, couldn't find anything wrong. Both of them clean.
Mm-hmm. Fine.
Yeah. How about grabbing something to eat after we check out?
Okay. You want to stop by Johnny Coken?
What about a French dip sandwich? How's that sound? Haven't had one for a long time.
All right, suits me.
How was that? Oh, sorry, I know. Oh, wait a minute. He just came in. It's for you, Friday. Turn in from the sheriff's office.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Bob. Friday talking. Yeah, Dick. Just now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be over right away.
You got anything?
Market bandits pulled a hold up a couple of minutes ago. Store on Graham Avenue, out in county territory.
Yeah?
One of the sheriff's units took the call, chased the hold-up car 2 miles.
They get the thing?
Well, you're half right.
Huh?
They got one of them. 10:52 p.m. Ben and I drove to the sheriff's Firestone substation where the market bandit suspect was taken after his apprehension. When we got there, we talked to Deputy Sheriff Sergeants Eddie Jones and Mel Viney, who had made the arrest. They said they arrived at the scene of the holdup, the market on Graham Avenue, a few moments after the bandits pulled away in their stolen Nash sedan. Jones and Viney gave chase, but when they finally forced the holdup car to a halt, the driver was the only one in the car. Somewhere along the route of the 2-mile chase, the second robbery suspect had succeeded in jumping out, along with the loot taken in the robbery and making good his escape. A broadcast in the bulletin was gotten out immediately. The holdup suspect they'd apprehended had been fingerprinted, and they were checking on his identification downtown. Ben and I went in to talk to him. Jones and Viney stood by while we questioned him.
I still don't know what it's all about.
Property clerk will give you an itemized receipt for everything you have on you. Take everything out of your wallet now. Put it out in the table.
You're making a pretty big thing out of nothing, aren't you? I haven't done anything.
You want to check those things from his wallet, Ben? The cards and some of those papers?
Yeah.
This your true name on this card here? Grant V. Jameson, is that right?
That's right.
This your present address?
Yeah.
You ever been arrested before?
Why you ask that?
It's not going to take too much time to find out. You might as well tell us.
We still don't know what this is all about. I was speeding a little, that's all. I haven't done anything.
No, you're kidding yourself, Jameson. We got everything on you that we need. What do you think you're going to gain by stalling us?
You must have me mixed up with somebody else. I don't know what you're getting at.
This card here you took out of your wallet, you recognize it?
Why?
These names and addresses you've got jotted down on the back of it. Mind checking them out for?
I don't know what you mean.
Take a look. These here. Whose addresses are they? Who are the people?
Let's see. No, I don't think I even remember them. Just something I scribbled down, that's all.
You don't even remember one of them?
No, I don't think so. Why do you ask?
Why don't you come off it, mister?
What are you talking about?
You know what we're talking about. You know it as well as you know your own name. 14 robberies down here in 28 days. You're picked up in the hold-up car after the last try tonight. Your partner gets away. Now, you go right on kidding yourself, Jameson. Play it real close. You see how far it gets you.
I sure wish I knew what you were talking about. I don't know a thing about any robberies.
All right, then you stand by, mister. You're going to know a lot more about them. You're going to know a lot in a hurry. Yeah? Just as soon as we pick up your partner. 12:20 a.m. We continued to question the suspect, Grant Jameson, but he refused to admit anything, even the fact that he'd stolen the car that he'd been apprehended in. The only strong lead we could pick out from the articles found on his person was the list of 4 names and addresses jotted on the back of a card found in his wallet. 12:30 a.m. Ben and I left the substation and drove to the address Jameson had told us was his present residence, an apartment house on Vernon Avenue. The manager told us he'd moved at least a year ago without leaving a forwarding address. 1 a.m. We began checking out the list of 4 names and addresses which we'd found in the suspect's wallet. The first was a Jack Williams. His address, a Spring Street rooming house. The landlady told us he'd moved to Cleveland, Ohio 3 months before. The second was a John Gallagher. His address, a third-rate hotel in East Hollywood. He hadn't been registered there in the past 2 months. The third was a Matthew Sanford. His address turned out to be an apartment house in the Crenshaw district.
Want a price to light on the mailboxes over here, Joe?
Yeah. Here you go. You see the name there?
Yeah, here it is. M.L. Sanford. That ought to be apartment 5.
All right. Let's try it.
Front door open? Hey. Yeah, let's go. Number 5. Should be down this way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5.
Okay, let's give it a try. Grant, that you?
Police officers. You Matthew Sanford?
Get out of here. All right, hit it, Ben. Yeah. All right, come on. Put the gun down. Drop it.
I got it, Joe. All right, get your hands out.
I'll cover it. Look around, huh?
All right.
What is this anyway? What's the idea? You tell us. You pulled the gun. You got no business in here. You got no right. All right, you just stand still. We'll explain it downtown.
Money sacks, Joe. Found them in the desk. Same market they hit tonight.
All right, Sanford. You got nothing from me. I don't know what you're talking about. Get his coat, will you, Ben?
Yeah.
What are you trying to build, anyway? You haven't got anything on me? 14 robberies, mister. That's what we got on you. You think you got proof? We got it. Yeah? 14 victims. Come on, let's go.
The story you have just heard was the name of the innocent.
The bandit suspects, Grant Burton Jameson and Matthew Roy Sanford, were tried and convicted on 14 counts of first-degree robbery and received sentences as prescribed by law. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary from 5 years to life. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, International Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Wednesday at 9, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's story of The Lady from Brazil.
Her name was Irene Santino. The lady from Brazil, the Lion called her. He figured it for an easy trace job. Something for missing persons, only when we do them, the Lion gets paid. Yeah. The program said it was simple. Except before we wound it up, there were a couple of added attractions. A doctor who didn't do any doctoring, a nurse with a built-in temperature, and a couple of blackouts that were meant to be permanent. And guess what? In that last part, I was supposed to be the star. Anyhow, it all began late last Monday. I was home. My boss, Anthony J. Lyon, knocked on my door. And that's when I made my first mistake. I let him in.
Regan, I'm glad I found you in. I'm just on my way home from the office.
You could have kept on going. I'm out of Johnny Walker.
Oh, now, Regan, I didn't come by just for that. You got anything else?
No.
All right. As a matter of fact, I want your advice, Regan.
Cut out starches and get some exercise. What else?
What would you do if you traveled 10,000 miles just to see your sister and then couldn't find her?
I'd give up the search.
You would? Why?
I haven't got a sister.
Oh, that's not what I'm talking about. You'd go to missing persons, wouldn't you? Sure you would. But if you knew your family in a foreign country would become greatly alarmed at this sort of notoriety, you'd look for your sister in another way. You'd hire a good private detective. Now, isn't that right?
Come on, Fatso, put it on the road.
What do you mean? I'm just posing a simple problem.
And you've got an angle somewhere.
All right, we have a new client. Her name's Irene Santino. She's from Brazil, Rio. Fine family, Regan. Coffee. She's engaged international to locate her younger sister, Carmen.
I'm no St. Bernard.
You'll do till I can feed one. Oh, now, I know you've been working hard lately, but, Regan, this is one of those occasions when I'm proud to be a part of our profession. We have an opportunity to help a young lady in desperate straits and at the same time secure goodwill from South America.
Ever hear of the State Department?
Of course I have, but they can't do it all alone. It's up to individual citizens to take responsibility, too.
And that's the only reason you want me to find a sister?
Absolutely. Now, Miss Santino is taking an apartment at this address. Here, go see her, comfort her, let her know International and the United States of America will do everything possible to locate her lost sister.
Yeah. That all?
That's enough.
What'd she pay you?
$200.
That's a lot of green to get in advance.
Well, she insisted. She's very anxious to find that girl.
Watch out her check doesn't bounce.
It won't. She paid cash.
That $200 was already making a lump in the lion's coat. And I knew the next spot for it was his mattress. Well, maybe that's the reason he's a bachelor. I left him in my place and drove over to the address he'd given me. It was one of those Beverly Hills apartments with a long, glassy look. Like a greyhound with a sore stomach. Irene Santino's apartment was on the second floor. She was a tall, brown-haired girl without a smile. She wore glasses. And when she talked, she sounded sad. Like a banjo player with a paper pick.
Thank you so much for coming over, Mr. Regan. I've been very upset all day. I just had to do something about Carmen.
Your sister?
Yes. She's the one I came to California to see.
I heard.
It's an awful vacant feeling. I thought she'd meet me at the airport, and then she wasn't there. And when I went to her address, we were very close.
She's from Rio, too?
Yes.
How's her English?
Well, the same as mine. We were both educated in the United States.
You older than Carmen?
Yes, 2 years. She's 25 now. Carmen left home a year ago. She's always been very independent. And, I received this letter from her a few days ago. It was the first word since she left home.
It came this way?
Yes.
No envelope?
Oh, I threw that away. She wrote her address there at the end, and I didn't see any need for keeping the envelope.
And she wasn't at this address?
There isn't any such address.
What does Carmen look like?
Well, I gave her a snapshot to Mr. Lyon. Didn't he give it to you?
He forgets things.
Well, no matter. I have another. Of course, it's old and not very good. I think it's right here in the suitcase. You'll pardon things strewn all over. I haven't had time. Oh, here it is. Here. There you are.
See. She's blonde?
A little lighter than mine. The same height, too. We used to wear each other's clothes. Oh, Mr. Regan, you will be able to find her, won't you?
I don't think you want me to.
Mr. Regan, are you trying to be funny?
You hand me a snapshot so old it could be anybody, and a letter that says nothing, and you want me to turn up a blonde.
But I thought those would be leads. She mentions the name of her doctor.
Is he the man?
Man?
She left home a year ago. She wasn't following the crops. There was a man in it. I've got to have it all, lady.
All right, all right. There was a man. His name was Frank Martin. Carmen met him once in Mexico City. She thought she was in love with him. He lives out on Laurel Avenue.
You talked to him?
No. But I asked questions around. I'm completely satisfied he knows nothing about it. Perhaps if you'd see the doctor, my sister mentioned...
You want me to find your sister?
Yes?
But you don't want me to see this Frank Martin.
I didn't say that.
You didn't have to, lady. Okay. You'll get a report when I've got something. Oh, just one more thing.
What's that?
How long did you stop off on the way to shop in New York?
Why? What makes you think I'd do that?
when you leave your clothes strewn around, the labels show. There's no Saks Fifth Avenue in Rio. When I walked out, her mouth was wide open like she was trying to scream. Only nothing came out. I hung around outside the door for a minute to see if she'd use the phone, but nothing happened. I looked up Frank Martin in the city directory and drove over to Laurel. A 2-story apartment building the color of a bride's blush. It was wrapped around a swimming pool. Too small for people and too big for birds. Martin's name wasn't on the mailbox, so I looked up the manager.
You don't know me, do you, Pilgrim?
Well, I just got here.
I played the Pals in 26. Oh, them were the days.
Write it up and sell it to the movies.
Them slobs. Central Casting ain't called me in 4 years.
Got a card?
Afros, SAG, and the Musicians Union. I play French horn. None of them call me. I figure it's television. No union yet.
I'm looking for a man named Frank Martin.
Now, look, if you got trouble, stay away from Frank. He bruises easy.
And you're just a mother, too.
He's a nice laddie. Now, remember what I tell you.
Sure, sure.
All right. Come on. I'll show you.
Thanks.
That's him. Up there.
He stays in one key.
All the time. A low one.
You said that once.
Well, here we are. You know, I kind of like you. You get around. Ever run into Mervyn Leroy?
Not yet.
If you do, mention my name, will you?
Sure. What is it?
Just say that Trixie Finnegan was asking for him. He'll remember old Trixie.
How could he forget?
You're not a whooping, you know.
Come on in, it's unlocked.
Your name Frank Martin?
Yeah, who wants to know?
My name's Regan. I'm a private investigator with the International Detective Bureau.
Wrong steer, Gumshoe. I don't need one.
I'm not looking for work. I'm looking for you.
What'd you say it was? Regan?
Yeah.
R-E-G-A-N? Regan. Regan. Just wrote that one. Pretty cute, eh?
I'm looking for a friend of yours, Carmen Santino.
Oh. How is Carmen these days?
I don't know.
But you said you were a detective.
I did.
You sound like an amateur to me.
You sound like a guy with a chip on his shoulder.
You sound like a lot of things. You're trying to get tough, baby.
It figures out when your name isn't on the mailbox.
Yeah?
Nobody would ever write you.
I'll just skip that, Regan. Well, who hired you to do what?
My sister's in town. She's looking for Carmen.
I know Carmen had a sister. What else?
You're the boyfriend.
Boyfriend. It's real good. Let me tell you what she's like, Regan. Eyes just right. Hair just right. Everything just right. Wait till you see her in a bathing suit. That's something, brother.
She isn't wearing one in this picture.
Let's see. No, it's a bad picture, Regan. Hardly looks like her like she is. Ever met him like that? Well, we're going to be married, Regan. Only she decided all of a sudden she didn't want him. Just like that. It was her idea. Haven't seen her since.
You try?
Once. She moved, no forwarding address. That's all.
Makes a good story.
Yeah, but you don't believe it. Let me tell you the reason we broke up. It's a dilly.
My hearing's good.
Well, you've heard about the happy couple. The guy keeps getting loaded, can't lay off. Well, this is different. This is the big switch.
Carmen.
Yeah, Carmen.
And why she was seeing a doctor?
Carmen, seeing a doctor? Look, why don't you get out of here? We don't like each other.
Sister thinks something might have happened to Carmen. She's scared.
Yeah, some of us are scared part of the time. When somebody makes a lot of noise looking for somebody, then everybody gets scared. You scared, Regan?
Yeah.
What about?
Carmen Santino. I might be looking too late. Well, what he gave me filled in the cast, but the plot wasn't getting any clearer. So I looked up the doctor Carmen had mentioned in her letter. His name was Kingston, and the only address was a place out in Encino. It was a ranch house spilled all over the top of the hill like whipped cream. Figured he was getting oversealing for his pills. I parked my car by the gate, followed the flagstones up to the front door. When I pressed a button, I heard something that sounded like chamber music. And then a blonde girl wearing a red dress that must have been riveted on opened the door about the middle of the second chorus.
I like blue serge. Has an effect on me.
It's the only thing in the closet.
You fill it out nice. But you don't look sick.
I want to see the doctor anyway.
Come on in. We'll talk about it. You are tall, Mr.
Regan.
Regan.
Who are you, Florence Nightingale?
I hold the doctor's stethoscope. My name's Vivian Lytell.
Mind telling him I'm here?
He's busy. He just opened another bottle.
Well, I'm right on time.
Oh, Rex isn't sociable like me. He drinks alone. He gets more that way. Let me entertain you.
Easy, Angel. I don't know how to fix a fracture.
I've already got a man who can do that. I want one with brains.
What's the matter with the doctor?
Keeps his in a bottle. Hasn't used them for a long time now.
He's done all right.
This? He'd be selling papers if his wife hadn't left him a good insurance policy.
Don't you like his money?
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's just that the girl has feelings, too.
Yeah, they show.
I'm glad I met you. We're going to have some nice afternoons.
I thought you worked for a living.
Got lots of free time. Besides, I should have at least one outside interest.
Keep looking. You'll find one.
You smile good, but you talk nasty.
I only came to see Kingston.
Well, there's always the phone. Call and make an appointment. Now, get out.
Oh, Vivian, about... Oh, I didn't know you had company. I'll talk to you another time.
Just a minute, Doctor. This is Mr. Regan.
Huh?
He's your company, but he doesn't have a business card.
Oh. Well, look, Mr. Regan. I'm no longer in practice, just doing research on my own. I have all the medical equipment I can use. I turned all my patients over to another doctor.
I know one you forgot.
Well, tell me who.
Carmen Santino.
Carmen.
Go ahead, Vivian. I'll speak to Mr. Regan.
Watch yourself, Rex. He doesn't know how to be nice.
Will it take a minute?
I'll crack some ice. You'll need a drink.
She's a very fine nurse.
Yeah. It's a nice uniform.
Well, working on my own, very casual. You said I had a patient named Carmen... What was it?
Carmen Santino.
I'm afraid you're mistaken, Mr. Regan. Who told you that?
Well, I read about you in a letter.
That must have been another Kingston.
There's only one with a license.
You're a relative of the girl's?
Friend.
You're a detective, aren't you?
Yeah. Want to show me your files someday?
Why not today? This way, I keep them right here in my lab. Help yourself, Mr. Regan. Oh, you want a drink?
Too early.
You don't mind if I have one?
Your house.
You find anything?
Not under Santino. She could have used another name.
Oh, that's possible. When was I supposed to have treated her?
Oh, about a year ago, according to this letter. Here, this is a picture.
No. Oh. I've never treated anyone who looks like that.
Sure.
Positive. What was her illness?
Might have had something to do with that stuff you're drinking. They die from it sometimes.
I see. You can't see it from this window. But just over the hill, my wife is buried. I had special permission from the county, of course, bury her on my property. She was a great comfort to me. We were very close. I haven't been the same since she passed away. And that is why I am no longer in practice.
I didn't ask for that.
Oh, but you did, with your eyes. You're a strange man. Do you enjoy making a living this way, prying into other people's lives, searching for what is best left alone?
You still here, Rex?
Yes, Vivi. He's just leaving. You can find your way?
Yeah.
Well, bye, Blue Surge. You were a real disappointment.
Don't give up. I'll be back.
Don't bother, Regan. The doctor will be out.
The whole thing looked phony, like a fan dancer in long underwear. But when I left the two of them, I was beginning to get an idea, just beginning. I walked over the side of the hill to look at that grave. It was there, all right, like he said. Irene Kingston, 1922, 1948. Well, maybe that explained it. Maybe it didn't. I was remembering those New York labels I'd seen on my clients' clothes. I called up a friend of mine in the CAA. He checked into it and told me nobody named Santino had come in from Rio on any flight in the last week. And the immigration people didn't have a passport or visa record on her either. I was home thinking about all this when my phone began ringing. It was Irene Santino, and she did all the talking.
I tried to get you at your office, Mr. Regan, but no one answered. I had to speak to you.
What about?
I phoned Carmen.
Say that again.
I phoned Carmen. Or rather, Carmen found me. I feel foolish now, calling you people in and all that. She came right to my apartment. Can you imagine she's been looking for me? Please thank Mr. Lyons for his kindness. And, Mr. Regan.
Yeah?
It's all confidential. I wouldn't want any of this to get to the wrong people.
You know some of the wrong kind?
Doesn't everyone? Well, goodbye.
Oh, Regan, you run any expenses on this Santino thing?
No.
Good. It's all over.
Well, how do you know? She just phoned me.
Just came from missing persons. There's a cop there named Perini. Got an eye like an eagle. Had that other picture of the Santino dame with me. He took one look at it and opened up a file.
What kind of file?
Dead and unclaimed.
What do you mean?
The county buried her. Carmen Santino's been dead a year.
This is CBS, and you are listening to The Story of the Lady from Brazil, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Well, it figured somebody was having nightmares. I didn't say anything to the lion and went down to the Hall of Records. There was a little guy sitting at the desk in vital statistics. His fingernails were dirty, and that wasn't a Harry Drucker haircut he was wearing. He was reading a dictionary, and he must have been at a good part, because he looked mad when I nudged him.
No, we're not in a bus, buddy, so just quit shoving.
I want some information.
Public servant, that's what I'm here for. What kind of information
Death
do you want?
files.
You're such a morbid guy. Got lots of stuff on births and marriages. Why don't you ask me something about them?
Girl named Carmen Santino died about a year ago. Tell me what from.
Okay, take it easy. How do you spell it?
Just like it sounds.
Santino, huh? Yeah, Santino. What's this? Sabatini, Sailor, Sanaki, Sanford. That's what happened to old Sandy. No wonder I ain't seen him around lately.
Just a Santino.
Oh, yes, Santino, yeah. Yes. Santino. Date of death, 15 October 1948. Cause of death?
Alcoholic poisoning.
Yeah, that's right. How'd you get it?
Never mind. Who signed the certificate?
Rex J. Kingston, M.D.
Okay. Now, here's one more for you. Look up Irene Kingston.
The doc's wife?
Look it up.
Okay, yes. Let's see. Kingsley. Oh, here. Kingston, Irene, 13 October, 1948.
Cause of death?
You guessed it again. The same. Alcoholic poisoning. Hey, this guy couldn't keep a patient.
Well, that filled it in. I could see the plot, but I wasn't sure of the ending. So I didn't waste any time getting over to Irene Santino's place. But I wasn't fast enough. The door was halfway open when I got there. All the company had left, but Irene was still around. She was sitting there looking at the phone like it was all she had to think about.
Miss Reed.
What's so funny?
Excuse me for not getting up, but I didn't expect you. I told you I found my sister, didn't I?
You told me, but you didn't tell me she was dead.
I didn't even tell you that I haven't got a sister. Did I?
Come on, lady, give it to me. What are you talking about?
This little red spot on my arm. It doesn't look like my sister. But you just wait, Mr. Regan. You just wait. You just wait.
I found a doctor on the floor below. He grabbed his black bag and went to work on her. She quieted down to a slow, inside giggle. Then went out all the way. The doctor got a hold of an ambulance and carted her off to a hospital. They just wheeled her out the door when the lion showed up.
Regan, did I see an ambulance out in front?
That's right. Your client was in it.
Huh?
Somebody stuffed her full of something that made her giggle.
I don't understand all this at all. I stopped by home to change to my dark suit so I could come by and bring Miss Santino the news of her sister's death. And what do I walk
You can
into?
save your tears, Fatso. She didn't come from Brazil and she wasn't rich.
That woman gave me $200, cash. There was nothing unreliable about her. We had a contract.
Well, New Year's coming up. You can use it for confession.
Now, see here, Regan.
Look at this picture.
Irene Santino. I have one just like it.
All right, draw some glasses on it. Add about 6 or 7 years.
I don't understand you, Regan. We're talking business, and all at once we're playing games.
Look, when I came to see her tonight, she wasn't wearing the glasses. She looked a lot like the dame in this picture.
Well, of course she did, naturally. That's her own sister.
She never had a sister.
Never had a sister? Then who did the county bury?
That's what I'm going to find out from a certain Dr. Kingston.
I had a feeling you'd be back. I built a fire.
I forgot the marshmallows.
We'll think of something else. I'm not mad anymore.
I'm still looking for your doctor.
Well, let me take care of you. I have a way with men.
Didn't we do all this once before?
Well, it's night now. I'm better with the lights low. You can ask me some questions. I know some swell answers.
I'll bet.
How do you like it?
Your way.
There. That's better. Now let's have a nice, quiet evening. Just you and me.
That's why you wore that?
You like it?
You got talent, lady.
Well, discover me. There's been a famine of men like you.
You don't look underfed.
Come on, you haven't touched your drink.
I want to see him.
Oh, all right. We could have had such a nice evening. Rex.
What is it?
Mr. Regan's here again.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Regan. Didn't I tell you I'd be out?
You told me that, but you didn't tell me what I wanted to know. Had to go to Vital Statistics to get it.
What?
You don't have anything in your files about Carmen Santino, but you signed her death certificate.
Now, you get this, Regan. I don't have to talk to anyone who comes here without a warrant, and you haven't got one.
When I tell the city attorney's office what I've got, they'll have somebody out here to open that grave on the hill.
What do you mean, Regan?
Irene Kingston died 2 days before Carmen Santino of the same thing. Dr. Kingston signed both certificates, and he collects on his wife's insurance. Only I don't think his wife really died. I think that extra grave on the hill is window dressing.
My wife didn't die, Regan. Where is she now?
I don't know. But she could be around town using the name of Irene Santino. It was a shot in the dark, but it brought results. Kingston swung a lamp base around it, connected on the side of my head. When I came to, I was in a white room in the back of the house. Nothing worked.
Irene,
So I
will you
just lay
please
there.
bring a bottle?
Vivian was standing there with Kingston. He looked sick, like an ostrich with
Will
a
you
sore throat.
please, Irene?
He had a needle in his hand.
I've got the shakes.
You do it all right, Rex. Go ahead.
The same treatment you two tried to give Irene.
Should have stayed out, Regan.
I wanted one more look at you, baby.
I hate to see the nice ones go, but it'll be all over in a minute. All right, Rex.
Give me a drink, Vivian. I gotta have a drink.
It won't help. I found Irene in time. She's in a hospital.
What?
She's going to live. She's going to talk.
Go ahead,
Irene's
Rex.
still alive?
Rex, give it to him, and then we'll clear out.
I didn't kill her. I didn't kill
You'll
her.
do better this time.
I can't.
Go ahead.
No, I won't.
I said go ahead. I'll shoot you, Rex. I'll shoot you if you don't.
No, you won't. It's all over, Vivian. It's all over.
But Kingston was too much for her. All of a sudden, it began going off. Vivian started to look pale. Then she went down. Slow.
Oh, she deserved that.
That's what you're going to tell the state?
Regan, is Irene really going to live?
That's what the doctor says.
Oh, good. Regan, look, no, don't try to move. I gave you a shot of preparatory solution. You won't be able to move for another hour. I suppose I ought to run.
You won't get far.
I know. Listen to me. Irene is my wife. She's innocent of all this. When you tell the police the real story,
I haven't got it all. I know it started with Carmen Santino.
Oh, she stumbled in one night, dropped dead before I could do anything.
Alcohol.
Yeah. Before she died, she kept talking about a man named Martin.
Lives over on Laurel.
But I didn't get in touch with him. I had a better idea. She looked a great deal like my wife, Irene. It was really quite remarkable.
The insurance.
Yeah. Irene didn't want to do it, but she loved me, so she finally agreed to hide out in New York. I used one body for 2 death certificates, buried an empty box up on the hill. I was supposed to join Irene later. We were going to start a new life together.
Vivian.
Yeah. Vivian came along.
I was drinking one night. She found out the truth. I was trapped. Would have stayed that way if Irene hadn't hired you.
Well, it figures she made up that story about her sister from Brazil just to scare you into getting rid of Vivian.
It worked, too. I'm scared stiff.
Yeah, like that guy Martin said. Somebody gets scared, and then you... Everybody.
Regan? Regan, can you hear me?
Huh? Oh, sorry. Stuff's making me sleep.
Yeah, that'll wear off. I'm going now, Regan. See that Irene gets a fair shake.
I'll try. He picked up a bottle and started out the door. He didn't even look down at Vivian's body on the floor. I tried to move, but like you said, nothing worked. It was more than 2 hours before I could get to the phone and call homicide. And it was more than 2 days before I talked to the line.
Jeffrey, my boy, how you feeling? Better?
Well, the fog's gone out of my head, if that's what you mean. Otherwise, I feel lousy.
Oh, don't take it so hard, my boy. All in a day's work. Besides, there's the brighter side. Yes, indeed.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, they got that Dr. Kingston. He only got as far as Las Vegas. Crime doesn't pay, Jeffrey. Crime just does not pay.
Doesn't, huh? What's this?
Now, wait a minute. Give me that.
Application, consolidated insurance.
It's nothing, I tell you.
You mean to tell me you're going to try to collect rewards?
Well, we did expose an insurance fraud, and there's nothing in the world that stinks like a fraud.
I'll say.
Hey, wait a minute, Regan. Where are you going?
Out to buy an Airwick.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by E. Jack Newman, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Wednesday at 9 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight in Miami, Florida, a group of men are gathered together for their annual conference. For their day-in, day-out service to the public, Dragnet honors the 58th annual conference of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A wealthy retired businessman suddenly disappears. You've got two possibilities to work on: suspicion of suicide, suspicion of foul play. There's no lead to the man's whereabouts. Your job? Find him. The latest Fatima sales report shows thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
More and more smokers coast to coast are finding in Fatima the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Next time, insist on the best. Buy king-size Fatima in the distinctive golden yellow package.
the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 6th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the record bureau, and it was 11:18 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Joe?
Hi. She show up yet?
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago. She's waiting for us now in the next room.
Did you talk to her at all?
No. Seems to be a nice enough woman. I don't know how much help she's going to be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks.
Miss Banner, I'd like to have you meet my partner, Sergeant Friday. Joe, this is Miss Banner.
Hello. I'm sorry I wasn't home when you stopped by yesterday, Sergeant. I got the card you left, so I called in as soon as I got home.
Well, thanks for coming in, Miss Banner. We have a few questions we'd like to ask you. It won't take very long.
We have a communication from a Gladys Dillon back in New York, Miss Banner. It's about her brother, Chester Dillon. We understand you rented his home from him out on Ralston Avenue.
Mr. Dillon? Well, yes, I've got a 2-year lease on the house. I rented it from him last November.
Well, according to the letter we got from Mr. Dillon's sister, she's worried about him. She hasn't heard from him in some time. Have you any idea where we could contact him?
Well, the last I heard, he left on a trip to New York. That was about 8 weeks ago, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I usually sent a check for the rent, the apartment he had here, and when he left on his trip, he told me to hold on to the rent checks, and he'd collect them when he got back.
How long did he say he'd be gone?
I don't remember definitely. I think he said 4 or 5 months.
He didn't leave any forwarding address, any place you could contact him back east?
No, he didn't. He just wanted to get away. Didn't want to be bothered with anyone. He wasn't feeling very well. He was very depressed, poor man.
Well, why was that, ma'am? Do you know?
Well, his wife died just a few months ago, you know.
No, ma'am, we didn't know. All we got from his sister was that she hadn't heard from Dillon. She was worried. She didn't give us any other information.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Dillon died in last September, I think it was. Poor man felt terrible about it. Couldn't seem to get over it. That's why he rented the house to me. Reminded him too much of her.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Lovely home they have. Mr. Dillon said he really didn't want to rent it, but he couldn't stand being alone in the house. It was a large place, you know.
Yes, ma'am. We checked with the people living in the house now. We understand you leased the place to them last month?
I subleased it, yes. You see, it just got too big for me. It was nice at first, but it got to be an awful lot of work. I rented it to this family and took a smaller house down the street.
Would you happen to know any of Mr. Dillon's friends in the city, Miss Banner? Anyone we could contact who might know where we can locate him?
No, I don't know. He didn't seem to have any friends. He and his wife had only been in the city a year before she died. He was retired, you know.
Yes, ma'am. We talked to some of the neighbors out there. They couldn't tell us much about him.
Maybe some of the people he did business with might know something. Have you tried the neighborhood bank out there? I know that's where Mr. Dillon had his account.
No, ma'am, we haven't yet.
Well, I can give you the bank's address. That's about all, though.
That's the only contact you know of?
I'm afraid so, yes. I didn't know much about Mr. Dillon's private affairs. Whenever I talked to him, it seemed the only thing he had on his mind was his wife's death. He couldn't seem to get over it. Seemed like he didn't want to get over it.
You mentioned that when you leased his home, Mr. Dillon took an apartment. Do you happen to have that address, Miss Banner?
Well, I don't have it with me now, but I have it at home. I can call in and give it to you if you like.
If you would, please.
Certainly.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Banner. You have our card. When you hear anything at all from Mr. Dillon, we'd appreciate it if you'd call us.
And surely I'll call you right away. You think something could have happened to him?
Well, it's possible. We don't know. All we have is a letter from his sister.
It does seem kind of strange, doesn't it? He wasn't feeling too well. I wondered why he hadn't contacted me about sending the rent money to him. He was such a nice man, Mr. Dillon. I certainly hope nothing's happened to him.
Well, you say he was very depressed about his wife's death, ma'am. Would you say that it was getting to be a little abnormal with him, maybe?
Well, I wouldn't know about that, Sergeant, but I didn't know he brooded about it all the time. He felt that he'd lost everything. Didn't seem to want to go on.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever give an indication that maybe he might take his own life? I mean, all this brooding over his wife?
Well, no, nothing definite. Just depressed and moody all the time. Oh, now that I remember it, the last time I saw him, he did say something kind of funny.
Yes, ma'am. What was that?
It was the day before he left. We were talking about the rent money, and I asked him if I couldn't send it to him. He had kind of a strange look on his face.
Yeah.
He said, where I'm going, I won't need the money.
The day before we called on Lucille Banner for an interview, a letter had been received from a Miss Gladys Dillon in Elmira, New York. Her request was routine. It was one of thousands of similar letters received every year by police departments all over the country. Each one of them has to be worked out to the satisfaction of all parties concerned, the person who's reported missing and the person looking for them. It's an enormous job requiring thousands of man-hours annually. Like the dozens of other investigations handled by the police officers, some of them end happily, some of them in tragedy. Whatever the result, the finding of a lost person is just as important a function of your local police department as any other investigation. Gladys Dillon hadn't heard from her brother recently. She was worried about him. She asked us to investigate. Our initial interview with Lucille Banner, the woman who'd rented Chester Dillon's home, failed to yield much of a lead as to his whereabouts. The only source of additional information she could offer was the neighborhood bank where Dillon had his account. 1 o'clock that afternoon, Ben and I drove out to interview the manager of the bank, a Mr. Harrison.
Yes, that's right. Mr. Dillon's had his account with us ever since he came to Los Angeles. I know him quite well. Is there something you'd like to know about him?
Yes, sir, there is. We had a request from his sister in New York. She'd like to locate him.
Well, I'm pretty sure his account's still open here. Matter of fact, I'm positive it is. This moment, I'll have one of the clerks get his file.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harrison. That reminds me, I almost forgot.
Yeah, what's that?
I got to get to the bank tomorrow for sure. Payment on my car's a day past due already. Only got 2 payments left.
Oh, you're doing fine. I got another 8 months to go.
Not so fine. 2 more payments to go, and now the wife wants a new one. Never fails.
Here we are, Sergeant, just as I thought. Mr. Dillon's account is still open.
Uh-huh. There been any recent deposits or withdrawals on the account?
Let's have a look here. Uh-huh. Just as I thought, nothing since he left on his trip. That last withdrawal date was November 27th.
He mentioned to you that he was going on a trip, did he?
Yes, I think he said he was going back to New York, more or less a vacation trip. His wife died recently. He didn't take it too well.
Yes, we understand. Did he leave any instructions about his account with you, Mr. Harrison? Any address you could contact him at if you had to?
No, he didn't leave any instructions with me. No address. Just a vacation trip. He said he didn't expect to be gone too long.
Did he mention how long it would be?
5 or 6 weeks, I think. That's what he said. I happened to talk to him about it because at the time he made quite a sizable withdrawal. I thought maybe he was a little unhappy with our service.
Mm-hmm. How much was the withdrawal, sir?
Let's see. And here it is, November 27th. He withdrew $2,400.
Was that in cash or in traveler's checks? Do you know that?
No, it shows here that it was in cash.
Mr. Harrison, you said a minute ago that you knew Mr. Dillon pretty well?
Yes, that's right. He used to stop and chat with me whenever he'd come in the bank. That was usually once a week. I didn't know him socially, though.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned he seemed to take his wife's death pretty hard. What would you say his mental condition was last time you saw him?
All right, I'd say. Just after his wife's death, he wasn't in very good shape. Brooded about it quite a bit. Then he began to pull out of it. Seemed to be in a fairly good frame of mind. Planned this vacation. Was looking forward to it.
I see.
Why do you ask? Is something wrong?
No, sir, not that we know of. Routine check. That's about the size of it.
Does Dillon have any other real estate besides the house on Ralston Avenue? Would you happen to know that?
Not to my knowledge, no. He has no other business connections in Los Angeles. Here are all his references right here.
Mm-hmm.
See, most of them are charge accounts and so forth. I remember the time he opened his account with us, he told me he was retired. He and his wife came out here for their help.
Do they have any relatives out here? Do you know, Mr. Harrison?
No, from what I understand, both of their families are in the East. They don't have any children, according to his application. Very few relatives.
Mm-hmm. And since Dillon was in here last November to make that withdrawal, you've had no communications from him at all, is that right?
No, sir, I haven't. What seems to be the trouble? You have an idea something might be wrong?
Nothing definite, no, sir. We've been told about his feeling depressed over his wife's death, and there was some indication he might possibly have done away with himself. After what you've told us, it doesn't seem too likely.
I don't know. I wouldn't like to commit myself. As I say, he did seem to be getting over it. I didn't know him that well, though. It might be entirely possible. He was devoted to Mrs. Dillon. Maybe he could have taken his own life. I don't know.
Well, it leaves a big question to answer, doesn't it?
What's that?
Why do you need the $2,400 to do it? 1:25 p.m. We continued interviewing the bank manager, Mr. Harrison, but he was unable to come up with any further leads. Before we left the bank, he gave us a complete list of all of Chester Dillon's references. We gave him our card, and he told us he would pass along immediately any information he might get on the whereabouts of Mr. Dillon. 1:45. We went back to the office where we got a call from Lucille Banner. She gave us Dillon's last known address, and we drove out to check it. It was an apartment court in the Pico Crenshaw area. We talked to the manager, and she told us that Dillon had moved out 3 months before, on November 22nd. He told her that he was moving in with a close friend of his, and he gave her his forwarding address. It turned out to be a single-story frame cottage located in one of the older residential districts of the city. The name on the mailbox read Raymond L. Schaefer. We rang the bell, and a man who identified himself as Raymond Schaefer ushered us into a small living room. He told us that he was from the same town in the east that the Dillons came from, and that he was a long-time friend of theirs.
No, I haven't seen Chester for months. Last November, I think it was. That was the last time I saw him.
You say at that time Dillon was living in the apartment down in the Crenshaw area, Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, that's right.
You mean he never came here to live with you?
No, it's just like I told you before. He talked about moving in here with me, but he never did. I haven't any idea where he is.
Well, he gave your name here as a forwarding address, Schaefer. Have you been getting his mail?
Yeah, matter of fact, I have. He told me he was going to do that. Never came to pick it up, though. Seemed funny to me.
You're still getting his mail here, is that right?
Yeah, it's still coming. Not much of it. Maybe a letter a week. Mostly bills and advertising.
Mm-hmm. This list of names you've given us, sir, these are all the people in the East Mr. Dillon was acquainted with, people he might contact on his trip back there, is that right?
That's all of them. As far as I know, he hadn't been back there yet, though.
How do you know that?
I got a letter from my sister Gert a couple of days ago. If Chester was in town, Gert would have known about it. He would have been sure to stop by and see her. I wish I could help you. Tell you the truth, I'm getting a little worried about him myself.
Well, just have one more question, Mr. Schaefer. Do you know if Mr. Dillon was in the habit of carrying large sums of money around with him?
No, I don't think so. Chester was pretty cautious that way. He wasn't too free with a dollar, you know.
Would you happen to know if he had a large sum of money with him the last time you saw him?
No, if he did have, he didn't mention it.
I see.
You can't think of anything else that might give us a lead on Mr. Dillon's whereabouts, anything at all?
Well, I think I've told you everything. I wish there was something I could tell you that'd help. I sure hope nothing's happened to him.
Yes, sir. Now, would you mind showing us that mail you're holding for Dillon, please?
Oh, sure, sir. Right over here. It's in the desk. There you are. That's all of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anything, Joe?
No, not much. Bills, circulars. There's one with a New York postmark. Elmira. Probably from his sister. Another one. Only 3 days old. From the Union Department Store. A couple more earlier dates on it. That's about it.
Yeah, I'll copy down the return addresses on it.
Fine.
Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah?
This suitcase by the desk here, initials on it. CLD.
Yeah?
CLD. Is that your bag, Schaefer?
Oh, no, I forgot to tell you. Chester left that here one day.
How was that?
Well, that was one day just before he was going to leave on his vacation. He brought it over here and said he'd like to leave it with me. He forgot to mention it to you.
Mm-hmm. Did you bring anything else with him?
Yeah, he brought another suitcase with him, just like this one. I got it in the other room. He said he wanted to leave him here while he was on his vacation. I'm sorry I forgot to mention it.
Well, maybe you forgot something else, Schaefer.
What?
Most people take their suitcases on a trip, don't they? 2:30 p.m. We continued questioning Raymond Schaefer. We opened the 2 suitcases labeled with the initials of Chester Dillon and found an assortment of personal items which Schaefer told us belonged to Dillon and his late wife. Small pictures, cigarette boxes, books, similar articles which apparently would not be taken on a vacation trip. None of them were of any great value. After we left Schaefer's home, we checked him through R&I and found he had no criminal record. We checked further with friends and acquaintances of both men and found nothing to indicate that Schaefer was in any way involved in the disappearance of Chester Dillon. 3:30 p.m. We called the office and found that there'd been no answer so far to the broadcast and missing persons bulletins that we'd gotten out on Dillon. We started checking the references given us by the bank. First was the Union Department Store. It was located on Main Street in the south end of town. We checked with the credit department to see what information we could get from them.
Yes, here's the file on the Dillons right here. Chester L. and Sarah J. on Ralston Avenue.
Yes, ma'am, that's the one.
What information would you like, sir?
Well, we're trying to locate Mr. Dillon, ma'am. Have you had any recent change of address on that account?
No, we haven't. If they moved, you know.
Well, we believe so. We don't know his present address, though.
Well, we do have an outstanding bill of theirs, I noticed. Sent them several form letters. We've been trying to contact them ourselves.
Have there been any recent charges on that account, do you know?
Let's see. Nothing too recent, no. Last charge was made on December 5th. Yes, Thursday, December 5th.
That's a couple of weeks after he disappeared, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. What was that charge for, ma'am? What did Mr. Dillon buy?
Oh, Mr. Dillon didn't buy anything.
Beg your pardon?
The slip was signed by Mrs. Dillon.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's amazing new offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you don't like Fatimas better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, return the pack with the unused Fatimas and we'll give you your money back, plus postage.
We make this amazing offer because we believe Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes.
Smokers all over the country are confirming this every day.
Here is the latest state-by-state report.
State 1, Fatima sales up 72%. 2, sales up 54%. 3, sales up 107%. 4, sales up 192%. And those are just a few.
Remember, if you're not convinced Fatima is better than your present king-size cigarette, just return the pack with the unsmoked Fatimas before December 1st and get your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1. By Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
4:15 p.m., Thursday, February 7th. As soon as the clerk in the credit department at the Union Department Store showed us the sales slip with the late Mrs. Sarah Dillon's signature on it, we had the date on the sales slip double-checked immediately. The date as shown on the slip was correct beyond any doubt, December 5th. That was a little more than 2.5 months after Sarah Dillon had died. Who the person was who forged her signature or why they'd forged it, we had no idea. The amount of the charge purchase as shown on the sales slip was for $418, all of it for women's clothing. We attempted to check with the salesgirl who handled the purchase, a Laura Van Kirk, but we were told it was her day off. We called her home. They told us that she was gone for the day and couldn't be located. They said she'd be at work the following morning. 4:40 p.m., Ben and I took the sales slip with a forged signature on it and drove back to the office. We went directly to forgery detail, briefed them on our findings, and gave them the sales slip. Then we drove back to the home of the Dillon's friend, Raymond Schaefer, and checked through the 2 suitcases there. We came up with a small photo of Mrs. Dillon along with exemplars of her handwriting as well as her husband's, which we found in an autograph album in one of the suitcases. The handwriting samples were checked against the signature on the sales slip, but neither of them matched. The work of compiling a list of all known female forgery suspects was begun immediately. The following morning, Ben and I went back to the Union Department Store, where we interviewed the salesgirl, Laura Van Kirk, who'd handled the purchase.
Yes, I remember making the sale, officer. I'm not too sure about the woman who bought the things, though. I mean, what she looked like.
Well, could you try to describe her for us, Miss Van Kirk, just as well as you can remember?
She had light brown hair, I'm pretty sure of that. Not too old, maybe in her late 30s, early 40s. She was a plain-looking woman, 5'5" or 6", thin as I remember her. She wore glasses, I remember that, too.
I see. You got that picture of Miss Dillon there, Ben?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you are.
Would you take a look at this picture, miss? Now, does that look like the woman you waited on?
No, that's not her. The woman I waited on was much younger. She had light brown hair, too, not gray. Thin face, I think. And she wore glasses, I'm sure of that.
Do you remember if there was a man with her, Miss Van Kirk, or was she alone?
No, she was alone. Now that I remember, there was something very different about the glasses she wore. I don't know if that's important or not.
What about her glasses?
They were horn-rimmed, as I remember, very light color. And there was some metalwork along the top edge of the frame. Very smart-looking. Gold metal all along the top.
Light brown hair, slight build, thin face, late 30s or early 40s. Wore light horn-rimmed glasses and gold metal on the frame.
Yes, that's right.
Check me if I'm wrong, Joe. That description sound familiar?
Just what I was thinking.
Horn-rimmed glasses, metalwork on them. The woman who came to see us at the office?
Yeah, you got it. Lucille Banner. Ben and I went back to the office and had Lucille Banner checked through R&I. She had no criminal record. Then we drove to the home on Ralston Avenue, which Chester Dillon had leased to Lucille Banner, and which she in turn had sublet. We obtained a copy of the lease which the Banner woman had with the current tenants and which bore her signature. We brought the copy of the lease downtown, gave it to Don Meyer in handwriting, and asked him to compare Lucille Banner's signature with the signature on the sales slip that we'd obtained from the Union Department Store. 15 minutes later, he called us at the office with the result.
Yeah, Don. That's so. You're right. Thanks a lot.
What'd he get?
Says there's no question in his mind.
Yeah.
Both signatures match perfectly.
What the reason was behind Lucille Banner's forging the signature of Mrs. Dillon on the sales slip, we didn't know. Whether or not it had any connection with the disappearance of Chester Dillon, we didn't know. As soon as we got the handwriting report from Don Meyer, Ben and I left the office immediately and drove to the bungalow which the Banner woman was renting on Ralston Avenue. It was a block down the street from the Dillon house. Lucille Banner wasn't at home, but a neighborhood gardener trimming the lawn in front of her house told us that she was expected back shortly. The gardener, who identified himself only as Julio, volunteered that he also did gardening work for Miss Banner when she occupied the Dillon home. He'd also worked for the Dillons when they lived in the house. He told us he liked the Dillons quite a bit, but that he didn't have much use for Miss Banner. He seemed to be up on all the news in the neighborhood. He trimmed the hedges of the lawn with hand shears as we talked to him.
Can you tell us anything about Miss Dillon and Miss Banner, Julio? How'd they seem to get along, you know?
They get along all right, I guess. When I worked at the big house down there for Miss Banner, that's before she moved, I would see Mr. Dillon there. He would be at the house maybe once, 2 times a week. Miss Banner would ask him to come over and cook dinner for him. Miss Banner liked him, I think. Mr. Dillon, I don't know about him. He wasn't feeling so good. Still thinking about his wife. Here, I finish up this clipping now. There, all done.
You mentioned you don't like Miss Banner very much, Julio. Why is that? She ever give you a reason not to like her?
Yeah, she's a little crazy, I think. Funny woman. When I used to work at the big house for her in the garden, she would watch me all the time, follow me all around, tell me to do all kind of crazy jobs. She give me good pay, though, so I do them.
How do you mean, Julio? What kind of crazy job?
The compost box for fertilizer, she wanted me to build one for her in the backyard. That was down the street at the Dillon house.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy woman. She wanted me to build a compost box in the greenhouse. Have a special place marked for her. Who ever heard of that? To build a compost box inside a greenhouse. Crazy.
Well, did you build it for her?
Yes, but not inside the greenhouse. I built it outside, right next door to the greenhouse. When she come outside, she'd go crazy almost. Call me names. Crazy. She made me tear it up. Then she made me build it inside the greenhouse, right on the place she had marked for it.
Sounds queer, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. When did all this happen, Julio? Do you remember? When you built the compost box, I mean.
A couple of months ago about that. It was just after Mr. Dillon went away. I tried to tell Miss Banner, who ever heard of a compost box in a greenhouse? She wouldn't listen. She had to have it built in a certain place, right in the greenhouse, a little piece of ground in there. The box had to go right on top of it.
Mm-hmm. You figure she acted pretty strange about it, do you?
You think she had something there, a little piece of ground. You think she had something to hide.
1:15 p.m. Lucille Banner returned home, and Ben and I went inside the house with her, where we questioned her in the living room. Outside in the front yard, the gardener, Julio, continued working on the lawn. Lucille Banner was calm and composed. We questioned her about the forged signature on the sales slip. She would admit nothing.
The whole thing's too silly to even comment on. I don't know what you're talking about, Sergeant.
We think you do, Miss Banner. Our handwriting man's checked the two signatures, one on the sales slip and one on the lease. They both match. They were written by the same person. There's no doubt about it. Been checked thoroughly.
Now, what about it, Miss Banner? There's no way out of it. You ought to know that.
I'll deny it. That's all. I'll keep on denying it. I wasn't in that store and I didn't forge any signatures. Why would I do a thing like that? What kind of a woman do you think I am?
Well, all we know are the facts, ma'am. Now, why don't you give us a straight story? It's going to save time and trouble for everybody concerned.
You've heard everything I've got to say. This thing's ridiculous. It's stupid. I'm not answering any more questions.
You want to get your hat and coat, Miss Banner? Afraid you'll have to come downtown with us.
What good's that going to do? I'll just keep on denying it. You can't make me say I did a thing like that.
You want to get your coat, please?
It's right here. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Car's right out in front.
Hold it a minute, will you, Ben?
Yeah, okay.
Julio?
Yes, sir.
See you a minute?
Sure. Hello, Miss Banner.
Julio?
Favor I'd like to ask of you, Julio. You got a couple of minutes to spare?
Yeah, you want something?
We want to take a look in the backyard of the house down the street. Mr. Dillon's house. I'd like to have you come along with us, Julio. Won't take very long.
Sure, okay. I'll come along.
And bring a shovel along, will you, Julio? I'd like to check something.
Yeah, okay. I bring one.
Fine.
All right, Miss Banner.
What's this about? What are you trying to do?
Something we want to check in the Dillon's backyard. It won't take long.
What would it have to do with me? I don't have anything to do with that house. I don't even live there anymore. You realize that, don't you?
Yes, ma'am. We realize it.
I'll call my lawyer. I'll call him as soon as I get to a phone.
Yes, ma'am. Julio?
Back this way, Sergeant. Through the gate.
What are you trying to do to me? You know I don't live here anymore. I don't even have anything to do with this place.
You did live here, ma'am. You lived here when Mr. Dillon disappeared. Isn't that right?
What are you trying to say? You've got no business on this property. You've got no business here at all.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
What?
Did you kill Chester Dillon? Did you kill him? Miss Banner?
All right, Julio, the compost box in the greenhouse. Do you want to start digging?
In the compost box? Yeah, okay.
He was an old man. So old he was sick.
Ma'am?
He didn't want to live anymore. He didn't have any reason for living. Why shouldn't he give me the house? Why shouldn't I have his money? I was nice to him. I cooked for him. Wanted to take care of him. He just didn't want to live anymore, that's all.
All right, Julio, you can hold it up.
You want to tell us, ma'am?
He needed a woman. Anybody could tell that. He needed me. We got along fine, Chester and me. I offered to marry him, and he wouldn't do it. All he could do was think about his wife. She was dead. He'd sit around and talk about her all the time.
You killed him. Is that what you're trying to say?
I wanted to marry Chester and take care of him. He wouldn't do it. We had an argument in the kitchen one night. I had a gun and I killed him. I killed him.
Is that where you buried him? In the greenhouse?
Yes, I buried him deep. The gun, too. He'll be all right. Poor Chester.
Yeah.
He was so old. He needed a woman. Anyone will tell you that. He needed me.
Well, I guess you made a mistake.
No, Sergeant. He did.
Yeah?
He didn't want me.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 2nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, during the past couple of years, we've had many talks with law enforcement agencies and received hundreds of letters from police officers all over the country. We're especially pleased to know that so many of these men feel as we do, that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. As a matter of fact, our sales reports prove beyond a doubt that more and more smokers everywhere are switching to Fatima. When you buy your first pack, you'll understand why. You'll enjoy Fatima's extra mildness, their much better flavor and aroma. Next time, look for the golden yellow package and ask for Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Lucille Marie Banner was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. She received a sentence as prescribed by law. She is now serving a life term in the state penitentiary for women, Tehachapi, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next on NBC.
Novak For Hire. That's what the sign outside my office says. Novak For Hire. Or you can set it to music or put it up in neon. But down here on the waterfront in San Francisco, you're too busy staying alive to worry about the next guy unless he's pointing a gun. Most of the time, you've got as much chance as a fly-paper fly on a solo flight. But it works out. Oh, I rent boats and do anything else to keep my stomach and my conscience running even. It's like juggling hot marbles on a high wire. But it's a living. You haven't any more kick coming than a swimmer diving into an empty pool. I found that out last Tuesday night. I was sitting in my office after dinner, watching the fog stream through the gate and wrap up the bay for the night. Up on Russian Hill, the lights were just going on in the $1,000 a month apartment, and right away you got a picture of warm rooms and cold martinis. I think I was feeling sorry for myself, so I started to page through an old address book full of bad breaths and tired memories. I was getting over to the page, and the regrets were piling up around my knees when the phone rang. Novak talking.
This is Father Lane, Patsy. Are you busy?
Yeah, Father. Carrying up old phone numbers.
Are you reforming or angry?
Neither one, Father. They just wore out.
You sound sad, Patsy. Expect them to last forever?
Nothing's that good. What's on your mind?
I want to ask you a favor.
Make it a small one, Father. I'm all out of big ones.
It's a small one, Patsy, for you.
Yeah, another customer told me the same thing, Father. His brother was on the way to the chair. He wanted me to smuggle in some rubber underwear.
I'm asking, Patsy, not begging.
Okay, Father. What do you need?
Can you see me in about an hour, right after the evening rosary?
When's it over?
Oh, about 8:30. But don't be afraid of coming early.
No, I'll take a rain check on that, Father.
That's what Noah's friends used to say. I'll see you at 8:30.
It was a little before 8:30 when I started up the steps to Father Leahy's parish church. I figured the services were over, so I hung around in the vestibule for a couple of minutes, trying to look like a part-time bell ringer. The last few people straggled out, and then an altar boy came out and gave me the high sign. He was a clean, Irish-looking little kid with a face the size of a minute and just about as young.
Are you Mr. Novak, sir?
Yeah,
That's right. You the lookout?
I'm an older boy, Mr. Novak. My name's Jake Siegel. Little first father called me.
Yeah. No, where's Father let you know, Jake?
Back in the sacristy, Mr. Novak. I want you to wait inside me.
No, this will do. I'll wait right here.
Listen, Mr. Novak. I'm sorry. Father said to be sure and bring you inside.
Okay, little Jake, lead the way. I was too busy trying to act like I knew my way around to pay much attention to a fat, chunky little guy when he stood up in the back pew a couple of aisles over. Little Jake seemed to take trouble in the air.
Novak! Novak, there. What you doing?
All right, women, here's your pay. I'm going on a second.
Jake, get down.
Mr. Novak! Look out! Look out!
Down on the waterfront, you'll learn early to look for trouble, any place, any time. You can find it at the top of the mark or at the bottom of the bay. This is the first time it caught up with me in the middle of a church. The lead got as thick as confetti on New Year's Eve. I spun around and I made a dive for little Jake, but I wasn't soon enough. He went down like young wheat in a hailstorm. When I grabbed for him, I must have hit my head in the base of a marble cellar or something, and things got dark for a minute. I stumbled down the aisle and into the street after the guy, but the odds were all on his side. The fog was so thick you couldn't read a newspaper with a Klieg light. I guess I covered every alley and street in the neighborhood, but it was like running after a hatful of feathers in the middle of a windstorm. Well, I don't know how much later it was when I stopped for a minute in an empty doorway and I tried to remember what I was chasing. The siren was crying somewhere in the distance, so I started back for the church. The coroner's wagon was just pulling away when I got there, and Father Leahy had disappeared. I saw a light in the rectory, so I went upstairs and rang the bell. He came to the door in his shirt sleeves. He just stood there for a minute looking at me. Then he motioned me inside. You want to see me, Father?
Yes. Be here. Sit down.
The kid, Father. Little Jake.
What do you think?
Well, he goes fast?
Instantly.
I'll get the guy, Father.
I'm not asking that, Patsy. I'm not asking you for anything anymore, unless I need trouble.
No, somebody told you a bad story, Father. That wasn't my gun.
I should have known better than to call you. I should have known it meant trouble. It's your middle name, Patsy. You're married to it.
You're looking for the wrong man. It wasn't my party.
My cause is here tonight to ask you a favor, Patsy.
Anything you want, Father.
It's too late now. We were going to have an altar boys' picnic tomorrow at Paradise Cove. I wanted to borrow one of your boats. We won't be going now, Patsy. We've got a funeral instead.
Yeah. What do you want me to say?
Don't say anything, Patsy. Just listen for a minute. I asked you to come up here tonight, but I didn't tell you to bring your friends. If you've got any private fights with those waterfront hoods, that's your business. But don't bring your beast into the church.
And I tell you, I never saw the guy before. I don't know anything about it.
He was shooting at you when he hit little Jake, wasn't he? What else am I supposed to think?
Yeah. We'll find him, Regan.
Nothing you're saying for me, Patsy.
I like you better without the temper, Father.
And I like you better before your hands got dirty, Patsy. I warned you about that waterfront crowd, the cheap thugs, the cheap women. I told you, Patsy, roll around in dirt long enough and some of it's bound to stick to you. You got it all over your face and your hands, and it's working inside you, Patsy. It's working in deep.
That's the end of the sermon, Father?
I tried to warn you that you had to figure. Well, figure this one, Patsy. There's a 9-year-old kid on his way to the morgue. He stepped in front of a bullet and saved your life. Now go ahead. Figure.
Yeah, I will, Father. But you better be on call when I catch up with the guy. He's going to have a lot of praying to do. When I left Father Leahy, I checked in at the church for one more look around. A couple of red-faced Irish cops in uniform were wandering around the vestibule trying to look at home and chewing gum like mad to kill the beer on their breath. And over in one corner, half a dozen old women had their heads together, clucking like hens over a square egg. Outside of them, the place was deserted. I gave the course a quick rundown. A couple of aisles over, where I figured the gangster must have passed, I picked up a matchbook. The ad on the front said match joint, Cicero, Illinois. And there was a phone number scrawled inside the cover. I was just about ready to toss it away when a bell rang, and I took a closer look. It was my phone number. I put the matchbook in my pocket, and I started home for the apartment. Maybe the cab wasn't going fast enough, because halfway there, 3 years' stock of headache caught up with me in the ceiling and started to jump. Oh, the cab driver was kind, though. When we got to my place, he offered to help me as far as the curb for an extra 4 bits. By the time I made it to my front door, I was feeling lower than any man of an Irish waiter. The reception committee didn't help much. They were short and dark, all 3 of them, with rows of loose, oily fat where their necks should have been, and small pig eyes that squinted through the cigar smoke rolling out of wide nostrils and up their faces.
Hiya, Novak.
How do you feel? Lots better after you found the door.
Hey, Jack. Novak don't like it. He'll cultivate a case.
No, they don't build stomachs that strong.
Be nice. It's easier that way.
Now, look, Buster, I don't know who you 3 pigs are.
Novak. Remember, be nice.
Yeah, I remember.
You West Coast punks are all alike, Novak. Couple of chats and you cry. Ain't that right, lad? Maybe Novak's tired, fellas. Up him into a chair. Yeah, Novak. Sit down. Blood wants to say something.
All right, then say it and get out of here.
We want the gun, Novak. We want the papers that go with it.
Sounds like a great puzzle. Sorry, I can't help with the answer.
You better tell that, Novak. It's liable to get rough.
All right. My gun's over there on the desk and the papers on the wall.
Be nice, Novak. Just once more, Novak. Where's the gun and where's the papers?
Look, I'll spell it for you. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Jack, Mac, get his arm. Yeah. All right, hold his head up. Yeah. Okay, lad, there.
This the way they do it in Cicero?
Last time round, Novak, the gun and the papers, where are they?
I don't know.
The gun, Novak. The papers. No use, boss. We lost it. All right. The big floor. Let him find his own way back.
Well, it was a long night for summer. When I woke up, the sun was bleeding through a rip in the blinds, and there was a funny smell in the room. My stomach felt like a piece of practice rope at a Boy Scout class. And then the room got noisy.
You wake up slow, Novak. Have a hard night?
Oh, you're never on time for the party, are you, Hellman?
I'm choosy, Novak. I don't like your friend.
All right, then take up social work. What's the occasion?
I got a phone tip. Thought I'd drop up for a visit.
You having fun?
Yeah. There's a gal on the kitchen board the desk.
Huh?
Take a look.
Look at hard. Who is she?
Sally Kimball. That's what her driver's license says. Your friend of yours?
How would I know? Even her mother couldn't tell.
No stuff, isn't she, Novak? Must have been a rough party.
I wouldn't know, Hellman. I closed early.
It's your joint. What happened?
I said I closed early. 3 gunsels were drinking my scotch when I got home about 10:30. They were anxious about a gun and some papers, and they figured I could put them straight. I couldn't, so they laid me out. Now tell me how sorry you are.
I bleed for you, Novak. Now let's have it straight.
That's as straight as you're going to get it, Hellman. If it's not exciting enough, try Esquire.
He's off brave for a funk in hot water.
I'm not going to scream till it burns.
Then you better start practicing, Novak, because I'm going to burn you.
You better hurry, Hellman. Your pension's catching up with you.
Watch your mouth, Novak. You're not talking to your gunsel friend.
Well, that's hard to tell, Hellman. You both use the same technique. Now show me the warrant before I start charging you rent.
That dame's body is all the warrant I need, Novak. Now talk. How did she get so dead?
I told you once. Pick up the 3 gunsels and ask them.
What they look like?
Like you. The size smaller. They're from the east around Chicago.
What else?
They wouldn't leave their birth certificate.
Go ahead, smart boy. Get in all the laughs you can. But don't ask me to con the parole board for you.
Oh, I don't know, Hellman. You won't be there. Maybe I like prison life. When you're knee-deep in the rain and your boots spring a leak, you might as well throw them away and take your chances barefoot. Hellman and his boys left with the body, and I grabbed a handful of aspirin and a cold shower. Then I started out to look for the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. A pretty smart man until he found out you can poison your worries at $4 a fifth. I finally found him sitting in the middle of a bourbon fog in a little Spanish joint somewhere on the edge of the Excelsior district. He was down at the end of the bar trying his best to make time with a plaster bust of Queen Isabella.
Pepsi, you're just in time for a short one. Bartender, hand me that vase.
Come on, Jocko, sober up. I got to talk to you.
Pepsi. Here's to your own peculiar brand of happiness.
Jocko, will you cut it out?
Patsy, I don't mean to be rude or ungentlemanly, but I don't think I altogether approve of the clientele in this place.
Yeah.
This woman next to me, Patsy, the one with the stony gaze, she's been here ever since I came in. And I don't mean to be uncharitable, but I think she's the picture of a perfect boy.
All right.
Patsy, to a member of the old Castilian school, there can be no excuse for the conduct she's exhibited. Why, do you know, I was even good enough to buy her 3 rounds of Portuguese brandy, imported, mind you. But what do I get for my pains? Not even a civil thank you.
All right, Jocko.
I've been sitting here in the most gentlemanly way, sipping this delicate nectar in great mouthfuls and trying to keep the party going. But does she help? No. I talked to her about politics, medicine, literature, Keats, Byron, Shelley, Nick Kenny. I even talked about the weather.
Jocko, she's distracted.
She's a simple oversight, Patsy. Might happen to anyone.
Listen a minute, will you? I'm in trouble.
You're always in trouble, Patsy, and that's the way you stay till you find some kind of moral rudder. You've got to find direction instead of trying to be so righteous in an evil sort of way. Get in tune with our decaying civilization. Like me, Patsy. Why tempt the fate? It's much more practical to buy off your destiny with a good fifth of Irish whiskey.
You are through, Jocko?
Yes. What kind of trouble this time?
3 gunshots from the east. They're shooting up the town, and I'm running front for their murder rap.
Patsy, why not plead guilty? The rest might do you good.
Somebody shot a 9-year-old kid, an older boy.
Oh. Where did that happen?
Inside a lady's church. The guns were slipping loose for somebody else and started shooting.
Problem's getting bigger, Patsy. What am I supposed to do?
I want you to check on a guy by the name of Mike Quinlan. Also a girl, Sally Kimbrough. Tagged by the Examiner and the Chronicle morgues and later on the horse parlors out on Eddy Street, will you? Find out everything you can.
Well, all right, Patsy, but you've broken up a beautiful party. You've disillusioned me about Queen Isabella here, and I've suddenly grown dreadfully thirsty again. Let's have 4 or 5 for the road, shall we?
Later, Jocko. We haven't got time.
Well, only if you say so, Patsy. But every time I leave the hallowed confines of a barroom, I'm a poor pilgrim caught up in the vices of the crass everyday world. A tattered orphan leaning disconsolately against the bitter winds of chance, tossed and buffeted about endlessly by the cruel storms of fortune. By the way, I'll need car fare.
All right, here, $50.
Patsy, refreshment.
Later, now get going, will you, Jocko?
Where can I find you?
I'm going to check by my office, and I'm going to see Father Leahy.
Well, as soon as he mentions taking the pledge, that's your cue to leave. Good night, lover.
When I left Jocko, I caught a cab downtown, and on the way, I started hunting for just a piece of the answer. But all I got was questions. Who were the 3 gunfuls, and what was the stuff they were after? Mike Quinlan, where did he fit in? And that dead girl in my apartment, who did she belong to? Well, the zeros were piling up faster than flies on donuts when the cab pulled up for a stop sign at 16th and Mission, and a little guy with a worried mouth and a loud sports shirt jumped in. His lips were wound around a phony kind of smile, like a head waiter just before he hands you the check for a big party.
It's okay, driver. We're friends.
How are you, Friendship comes easy for you, mister. You got a name?
Please, Novak, I want to talk.
You got until the next corner.
We both mean it, Novak. Me and the judge.
Now, look, Junior, if you want to play the heavy, go find a melodrama.
Who are you working for? Sandell?
That's as good a name as any. All right, here's your corner.
Sally Kimbrough. Where is she, Novak?
You're fast with a question, mister. Let me ask you one. Who's Sandell?
I got the gun, Novak.
Yeah, then who's Sandell?
I'll do the asking. You sit there and make the answer.
Oh, you're running out of tickets, Junior. Come here. All right, now reach down for that gun and I'll jam you through the floorboards. Who's Sandell?
The Chicago hood. He's out to get me. Works both ways.
That's a good plot. Now, who are you?
Mike Quinlan. All right, now what about Sally Kimbrough?
They mopped her up off my kitchen floor this morning.
Somebody's going to get Sandell.
Maybe we're on the same train. What's he look like?
Fat men all look alike.
All right, you can leave any time now.
Sure, Novak. Fare's getting high. See you later.
Went faster than a Mexican divorce. The black sedan pounded by on all 12, and Quinlan folded up like a playpen in a high wind. We tried to follow the car, but it would have been easier to win the Kentucky Derby on a pogo stick. So I went back to the corner where Quinlan was still hugging the cement. He was draped over the curb like a tired carpet, and if his suit was a brighter yellow, he could have passed for a loading zone. Hellman was there with all his relatives in uniform, so I told the cabbie to drive on. I just couldn't seem to escape the picture of little Jake when he went quiet in that shirt. Well, when I got close to a phone, I paid off the cabbie and I put in a call to Jocko. I called Newton at the Examiner morgue, and he said that Jocko had just left, so I called Breen. I asked for the guy who was drinking the cheapest whiskey in the tallest glass.
Council Madigan speaking.
This is Novak. How'd you make out?
Let me tell you about these passive newspaper men down here. Men of high birth patches, true breeding. They like Scotch almost as much as I do.
What'd you find out about Quinlan?
My Eddie Street informant tagged him as an ex-convict. Sent up for armed robbery in 1940 and paroled about 2 weeks ago from Joliet. Quinlan had a few dealings with a man named Lud Sandell. From what I can gather, Quinlan's supposed to have taken the rap for Sandell and his brother.
What else?
Quinlan is a local boy out of Bernal Heights. He has a sister, Patsy. She belongs to Sandell. She's probably the only sales girl in town with a 6-room apartment in the best part of the marina.
You got the address?
Bayview Towers, down at the foot of Fillmore Street.
Sounds good.
Maybe she has a friend.
Did you get anything else on Sandell?
The Third Street bed tells me he's active to set up a slot machine route. I gather he's the pushy type.
Thanks, Jocko. I'll see you at the apartment.
Oh, Patsy, on your way home, pick up something for dinner at the delicatessen, will you?
There's stuff in the icebox. Fix yourself a sandwich.
Patsy, dinner without bourbon is life without hope. I'll borrow from the neighbors. Good night, lover.
When I hung up, I caught a D car out on Van Ness Avenue, and I headed down into the marina. The answer box was still stocked with questions, and little Jake Spiller held a 4-lap lead, but at least the field was getting thin. I figured it was 1 out of 3. Sandell or either one of his gunsels, but which one? So when I got down to the foot of Fillmore Street, the fog was thicker than ankles at a fat lady's convention, and the foghorns out beyond Yacht Harbor started on overtime. The Bayview Towers was one of those swanky, new-looking places that gets old in a hurry. It saw lots of brass and brunettes during the war, but now the only uniform left belonged to the doorman. I found Quinlan's sister in the penthouse apartment. And when she opened the door, it felt like Clyde Beatty with a broken chair. Her laundry pajamas were managed with a good butler. They came in and went out at the right places, and they stayed close to the job. I felt like the fifth boy after somebody blew out his candle.
Oh, talent on the loose. Want to come in?
Yeah, it's free turn. My name's Novak. I got some news for you.
I'm Bobby Quinlan. Look what's the fast.
I'm looking for answers, lady. If you want a companion, advertise. Your brother's dead. Sandell shot him.
Mark, it's a big imagination, Mr. Novak. I don't give a lot.
Look, I got proof in my pocket, baby. You want the rest of this couch now?
Novak.
It's going to get worse with your brother gone. Take a look at the paper.
Yes.
Yeah, you've been practicing.
Look at Anna's taxi. I can see your heart pounding.
Yeah, now let's quiet down and talk murder, shall we?
You're hurting. You're hurting me.
Where's Sandell?
Please, Patsy.
Where's Sandell? Where is he?
In my arm, you'll break it.
Tear it off and throw it away. Now, where's Sandell?
I don't know. I swear I don't.
He killed your brother. He shot him down on the street.
Oh, he's dead, Novak.
All right, if you won't believe me, take a look at this chronicle. Right there on the front page.
You're lying, Novak.
Look at it.
No. Sandell promised. Promised he wouldn't touch Mike.
Why complain? Think how Mike feels. Now, where's Sandell?
He's down at the hotel. The Durban Arms on Eddie's Street. He lied to me, Novak. I told his place, but he lied to me.
Yeah, you're a mistake, baby. I'll see you later.
Don't worry, Novak. Party's just
Beth, why'd you do it? You lied. You and Sandell, you promised me. And you killed him.
Somebody had to go.
Like that altar boy, huh?
Got it once, Novak. It's tough for the second time.
There's no second time yet.
All right, sweetheart. Now take him back.
Yeah. You finished even, baby.
Promise me. I've been lying. See, Sandell. It's not right. Please.
Sorry, baby. You make this trip alone. There wasn't anything I could do for them, so I took a cab down to the Durban Arms on Eddy Street, but Sandell had checked out an hour before. The clerk told me his baggage was still around, though, so I figured I'd put everything in one thing. I put in a call for Hellman, and then I grabbed the cab and headed for Father Lazy's. By the time I got up on the hill, the fog had taken a lease on most of the town. You can always tell when it's thick because all the sounds out in the bay get a free ride. Halfway there, the driver was ready to quit, but for an extra $2, he threw the cab in second, and we crawled the rest of the way till we got a block from the church. By that time, the fog was so thick you could have floated to the pound. I did the last block on foot. I was just about 20 yards away when I spotted Sandell and Max the Gunsel standing under a streetlight just outside the door to the church. They waited a minute, and then they turned and started up the steps. Don't bother, Sandell. You called too late.
Huh? Who is it? Who's out there? It's Mark Novak. Novak. Come closer. I can't see you in the fog.
Turn out and get me, Sandell.
There he is, Max.
You're flying blind, Sandell. You made the trip for nothing. I got the gun and I got the papers.
He's lying, Lodge. Come on out, Novak. That's the deal.
I said you're late, Sandell. I already made the deal with Matt.
You're funny, Novak. This'll shut you up.
Not even close, Max. Which one have you got the order for?
You sound worried, Novak. You want to tell him lot or should I?
Max deals a lot better than you shoot, Sandell. Ask him about it.
Huh? What's he saying, Max? He's saying nothing, Lud. He's talking crazy. Let's go out and get him.
Ask Mac about this afternoon, Sandell. Ask him where he was when Dex shot it. Ask him how I got the gun and the papers.
He's crazy, Lud. I'm not so sure, Max. Don't be a sucker, Lud. Novak can't shoot.
Sorry, Mac. You took the chance.
He's turning you, Lud. He's lying. Could be, Max, but I can't chance. Oh!
All right, Sandell. Now it's just you and me in the fog.
Come on in, Novak. We'll work the deal. Come in where I can see you.
All right. It's 5 shots, Lud. You got one left to make good on. All right, Sandell, no reason. Come here.
Let me go, Novak. Lay off, Novak. What did I do to you? Cut it out with him. You didn't get hurt.
Talk to that altar boy, huh?
I didn't mean to hit the kid.
Oh, I'm sick of your mouth.
All right, Novak, that's enough. Novak, I said that's enough.
Yeah.
Let go of him. Here's Sandell.
Yeah.
A few minutes ago, we could have booked him for murder.
You can have him now, Hellman.
Saved the state some money, Novak. Next broken.
That's you, Patsy? Over here, Father. On the step. Hello, sir.
Father?
This the man, Patsy? Yeah, Father, that's him. I'll pray for him, Patsy. Why waste it, Father? He wasn't worth it.
They said the same thing about 2 men on a hill in Calgary.
Lifted the next morning, things got lots clearer for everybody. The story was the keeper at the time, but then so were the characters. After Mike Quinlan joined up with Sandell and his boys back in 1940, they pulled a bank job in Chicago. And instead of cutting in Mike on the tape, Sandell framed him to take the rap for the 3 of them. Then Sandell came west to operate and lined up Quinlan's sister for his girlfriend. By the time Quinlan was paroled, he was fast on Sandell's game, and he had lots to beef about. He lined up enough good evidence to put Sandell and his 2 boys away for life, and then he threatened to spill it if Sandell didn't cut him in for his share of the job and stay white of his sister. Sandell wasn't generous and he wasn't genteel, so he played along with his trainer's chief and his gun in his pocket. When the time came to swap money for evidence, Quinlan took the search for a trading ground that was echoed hidden in the box of the evidence. That's where we finally found it. The deal was all set to go when something scared Quinlan off, and Sandell came in. Mistook me for Quinlan, his quick little Jake. Sandell's boys tried to get at Quinlan through his girl, Sally Kimbrough, and when she wouldn't spill, they killed her and planted the body in my apartment to take care of the opposition. Snap and
to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to traffic investigation, hit-run felony detail. An elderly woman and her 9-year-old grandson are struck down in a pedestrian crosswalk by a speeding truck. The woman is killed instantly. Witnesses fail to get the license number. The hit-run driver escapes. Your job? Find him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, December 21st. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of traffic division, hit and run felony detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Calfee, Commander AID. My name's Friday. It was 10:51 p.m. when we got to the Carlton Theater, the box office.
Thank you. How many, please?
Police officers, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you for a minute, if we could.
Oh, yes, you mean about the accident?
Yes, ma'am. One of the officers in the traffic car across the street, he told us you're one of the people who saw it happen.
Yes, that's right. Terrible thing. It was an old lady and her grandson, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Would it be possible for you to get a relief for a little while? A few questions we'd like to ask you about it. It won't take very long.
Well, I'll be off duty at 11. That's when the box office closes. 8 minutes to 11 now. Would you like to wait?
All right, ma'am. Fine.
Cold wind out there. Would you like to wait in here? Right around back here. I'll open the door for you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice and warm.
Did anybody get the license number? Do you know, officer? I mean, on that truck that ran them down?
No, not that we know of. We understand the officers in the traffic car talked to you. You didn't see the number either?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't. The whole thing happened so fast. I saw the old lady grab the little boy, pull him next to her. It was an awful thing. The truck hit them both together. It's funny the things you notice. The boy was carrying a little box of candy. I heard this terrible thud when the truck hit them. I looked and the candy was spilled all over the street. I just couldn't help it. I got sick to my stomach.
Yes, ma'am, I can understand.
Now, about this truck that ran them down, do you think you'd know it if you ever saw it again?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I might, yes. It was one of those delivery trucks, you know. I think you'd call it a panel truck. It was a light tan color all over, and there was black lettering on the side.
Mm-hmm. Could you make out any of the lettering at all?
Well, I think there were 3 or 4 words painted on the side, and I know one of them was bakery. I'm sure of that.
Did you recognize what make of truck it was, ma'am? The year, the model?
It was a late model. I'm pretty sure of that. Either a Chevrolet or a Ford, I'd say. One of those regular delivery trucks like some bakeries use.
You sure about that word you saw lettered on the side? It said bakery.
Yes, I'm positive of that.
Now, anything else out of the ordinary that you might have noticed about the truck, ma'am? Anything outstanding that might have caught your eye?
No, I'm sorry, officer. That's about all I can tell you. How is the old lady? Do you know? And the little boy? Could they tell you anything?
Yes, ma'am. The woman's dead. She was killed instantly. They've taken the youngster over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Afraid he's in pretty bad shape, too.
Terrible shame. Poor old lady. She lives right here in the neighborhood, you know. I've seen her shopping in the market next door here Saturday afternoon. It's just tragic.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Boy's her grandson, you know. Somebody said he was down visiting her for the Christmas vacation. Seemed like a nice kid, well-behaved. She seemed so proud of him. Should be a sad Christmas for the family.
And just one more question, ma'am. When the boy and his grandmother were crossing the street, would you say the visibility was good? I mean, is there any reason why it would have been hard for a driver to see them?
No reason in the world, officer. It's a clear night. You can see how well the intersection's lighted up. All the Christmas lights strung up along here. The lights from the theater marquee. It was just as well lighted then as it is now.
Yeah, let's see.
The intersection was perfectly clear. No other cars around. The boy had a white sweater on. The old lady was wearing a light-colored coat. Certainly easy to see the traffic light, too. It said stop. I can't understand why that driver didn't see him.
No, ma'am, neither can we.
How could anybody do such a thing? It Just isn't any excuse for it. No excuse in the world. It's downright murder.
Well, maybe that explains it.
What?
That's why I kept going. 11:35 p.m. Ben and I finished interviewing the cashier in the theater box office, and then we called the office and had them get out a supplementary broadcast and an APB on the description of the hit-and-run vehicle. We went back across the street to the scene of the accident where the officers in the T-car, along with the crew from the crime lab, were finishing up their preliminary investigation. We interviewed 2 more witnesses to the hit-run accident, but they were unable to tell us anything that we didn't already know. When we got back to the office, we put in a call to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, where they told us the 9-year-old boy struck down by the hit-run driver was still in a critical condition. The husband of the 64-year-old woman, who had been killed instantly, was brought downtown to the morgue where he identified the body. The next morning, we got out a special bulletin to all garages, auto repair, and paint shops throughout the city to be on the lookout for a late-model tan panel truck, black lettering on the sides, with damage to the front end. 8:30 a.m. I checked with communications, and then I went back to the office.
Hi. Just checked with Georgia Street, Joe. Asked him about the boy.
The old lady's grandson, how's he doing?
About the same. Critical condition. That's about all they'll say.
That's a lousy shame.
Communications get any kickback on the point yet?
No, nothing at all. Did you get in touch with the crime lab?
Yeah, they're not going to be able to help much.
What did they find out there? Anything at all?
Just what we saw. A few small pieces of glass, probably from one of the headlights on a truck. I don't think they're going to be able to do much with them. There's not enough there to go on.
That's the only physical evidence they got, huh?
That's all. Might be able to tie it down a little tighter if we could find that panel.
Yeah. You start checking on that bakery truck angle yet?
McGowan and I called every bakery in town, got it pretty well narrowed down. There's only 2 companies that use tan late model panels for delivery trucks.
Well,
only one of them uses black lettering on the sides of the truck. Other company says they use red lettering.
which one has the black?
Got it right here. Outfit called Nielsen's Wholesale Bakery. They got a fleet of 173 trucks, all the same. Tan color, black lettering on both sides, late model Ford delivery truck.
Mm-hmm. They tell you whether or not any of their drivers could have been making deliveries that time of night, 10:30, 11 o'clock?
Yeah, there were about a dozen of them out on deliveries. More of them to account for than that, though.
What do you mean?
All their drivers are allowed to take the trucks home with them when they're off duty if they want to.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's going to mean checking out every one of them, Joe.
Well, we might as well get moving on it. They're going to give us some kind of a list to work with, are they?
Yeah, I've got it all set up with them. Yeah? Accident investigation, O'Merrill. Oh, yes, sir. That's all. I see. You're right, thank you. Rotten deal.
Yeah, what's the matter?
That young kid, the grandson?
Yeah.
He just died.
Many times and on many different occasions, the police officer has it proved to him that there can be very little difference between a crime of neglect and a crime that's been willfully premeditated. If you look at it closely enough, you can judge it for yourself. How much difference, for example, as far as moral guilt is concerned, is there between the following? Number one, a man who plans a killing, takes up a gun, finds his victim, and shoots him to death. Or number two, the man who thinks he has to look out for no one's welfare but his own, gets behind the wheel of a car, disregards the ordinary rules of safety, and proceeds to commit homicide with a motor vehicle. Oftentimes, the crime masquerades under the guise of an accident. Morally, no matter how you spell it, it adds up to murder just as surely as if the person had taken a gun and shot the victim down. The way it looked to us, the hit-and-run killing of the elderly woman and her grandson was a prime example. Wednesday, December 22nd, Ben and I began checking out the delivery trucks owned by Nielsen's Wholesale Bakery. Late that afternoon, we located one of the trucks with recent damage to the front end. We checked and found the driver's name was Arthur V. Singer. We drove out to his home to interview him.
No, I wasn't working last night, officer. I was off. What's it all about?
Did you spend the night at home, Mr. Singer, or were you out?
I was home part of the time. After dinner, I went downtown to a little bowling. Our neighborhood team bowls every Tuesday night.
Where's that, sir?
Place downtown. It's on West 7th. Got a pretty good team.
Did you drive down, Mr. Singer, or did you take the bus?
No, I drove down. Had the company truck with me. Let us use them when we're off duty. We pay for gas.
Did you drive down by yourself, or was there someone else with you?
No, I was alone. The other boys had their cars.
When did you leave the bowling alley, remember?
About 10:15, I'd say.
How'd you drive home, Mr. Singer? I mean, what route did you take?
Oh, I drove straight out West 7th, got the Coronado, came over Coronado to the house here. Why do you want to know?
What time did you get home?
About 11:15. This wouldn't be about that little scrape I had last night, would it?
What was that?
Down at 7th and Grandview, right by Westlake Park there. Old guy in the car ahead, he stopped fast right in front of me. Didn't even signal.
All right.
Yeah, I almost plowed right into him. Lucky I was watching. I slammed on the brakes, turned in toward the curb. Should have seen it. I clipped the headlight and the right fender against a telephone pole. Had to take the truck in this morning to get it fixed up.
Are there any witnesses to this accident that you had, Singer?
Yeah, a half-dozen people saw it.
Did you get any names and addresses?
Well, no, I didn't. I was so teed off about the whole thing, I guess I didn't think about it.
Is there anyone at all we can check with? Anybody corroborate your story?
Just the old guy in that car. Sure a lousy driver. I really chewed him out.
Did you get his name and address?
No, but I took down his license number. Wasn't going to pay for that damage. He admitted it was his fault.
I see. Do you mind giving us that license number?
No, if I can find it. Wrote it down on the back of an old envelope. Thought I put it in my jacket, but when I looked this morning, it wasn't there. It's around someplace. I'll check around again before I leave for work. It's bound to turn up.
I'd like to have you look for it now, Mr. Singer, if you would. It's pretty important.
Well, I think I get it, officer. What's this all about, anyway?
Preliminary investigation. Want to see if you can find that number for it?
Well, why? What's it have to do with an investigation? I didn't do anything. That old man was his fault.
Well, a bakery truck was involved in a serious accident last night, the same kind you were driving. Afraid you're going to need some kind of an alibi, Mr. Singer.
Alibi? I don't know what you mean. Why'd I have to have an alibi?
Well, just take my word for it. You're going to need one.
Well, why do I need one?
2 reasons.
Yeah?
A 9-year-old boy and his grandmother. We continued questioning the suspect, Arthur Singer, but he denied any knowledge of the hit-run accident the night before at the intersection of Drexel and Pico Boulevard. We stayed with him while he searched his home for the license number of the car, which he said caused him to have his accident the night before. After half an hour of looking, he came up with a number scribbled on a scrap of paper which he'd found back in one corner on the floor of his closet. We put in a call to RDMV, and they came back with the information that the license number was registered to a Mr. Thomas Foley on Lancashire Boulevard. We drove out to the address to check with Mr. Foley, but there was nobody home. We left our card along with a message to contact us as soon as possible. 4:15 p.m. Ben and I got back to the office. At 4:35, Mr. Foley returned our call.
Yes, sir, that's right. Oh, you did, uh-huh. I see. Well, what time was that? Do you remember? Oh. Well, all right, Mr. Foley. Thank you very much. We may be contacting you later. All right, bye.
What'd you get?
Thought this was starting out too easy.
Why? What'd he say?
Apparently, this Arthur Singer's telling us the truth. Mr. Foley says he did have a little scrape with a bakery truck last night. Described Singer as the driver of the truck.
Well, what about the location? Is Foley pretty sure about that?
Grandview and West 7. Said it happened about 10:35 last night. That put Singer about 3 miles from the scene of the hit run. It's impossible, Joe.
Yeah.
This Mr. Foley's right. Singer couldn't have done it. Wasn't anywhere near the scene.
I sure thought he was it, didn't you?
We can drive out and double-check with Foley. Can't think of any reason why he'd lie about it, can you?
I guess I'll get it. Accident investigation Friday. Yeah, I said. Where? Yeah. Nobody, huh? Yeah, right away, thanks. It's moving a little fast. Got a piece of luck here.
Who was it?
Ted Zimmerman. He and McClendon are down the south end of town.
Yeah?
The hit-and-run truck. They think maybe they found it. 4:28 p.m. Ben and I left the office and drove to the south end of the city where we met with Sergeants Zimmerman and McClendon, a block from where the tan panel bakery truck had been located. As soon as the truck had been discovered, an immediate stakeout was placed on it. A code 5 was broadcast on the vehicle's location, warning all units to stay away so as not to discourage the suspect in case he decided it was safe to return and get the truck. Ben and I drove down the side street where the truck was parked and got a good look at the front end of it. The right headlight was damaged, and so was the right fender. While Zimmerman and McClendon remained on stakeout, Ben and I contacted the Nielsen Bakery people again, gave them the number of the truck, and they traced down the driver's name for us. He was listed as Daniel Miller. He'd been employed by the bakery for the past 3 years, and he had a good record. They told us this was his day off. 5:30 p.m. We checked at his home address, but his wife told us he wasn't there. She said that besides driving a truck for the bakery, he also had a part-time job at night. He worked as a counterman at a small coffee shop out on Wilshire Boulevard. We drove out to the coffee shop and interviewed him on the job.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know where the truck is. I wish I did.
What happened, Mr. Miller? Was it stolen?
No, not exactly. A fellow that comes in here quite a bit, his name's Paul. Good customer. He borrowed the truck from me last night. Said he'd only be gone an hour. I haven't seen him since.
Where does this man live, this friend of yours, Paul?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know. Good customer. He comes in quite a bit at night when I'm working. Gotten to know him pretty well. He asked to borrow the truck for an hour. Didn't think much about it. Let him have it. Is there anything wrong?
What's this Paul's last name, do you know?
No, I guess I don't. Never thought to ask him, as a matter of fact. Guess they never had any reason to.
About what time was it last night that you loaned him the truck?
A little after 8 o'clock, I think it was. He said he wanted to take his television set over to a guy he knew and get it fixed. He told me he'd be back by 10 o'clock at the latest.
You don't know where this man lives? You have no idea at all how to get in touch with him?
No, I guess I don't, Sergeant. Why?
You're in the habit of lending the truck to strangers?
No, not usually. Well, what's your beef, anyway? What's this all about?
What are your hours here at the coffee shop, Miller? When do you check in for work and when do you leave?
I check in at 7 o'clock. I go a straight 5 hours to midnight. That's when we close up, midnight.
Well, you worked that shift last night, did you? 7 p.m. straight through to midnight?
That's right. Monday through Saturday, 6 days a week. That's the schedule. It's just a part-time job for me, extra dough, you know. My regular job is driving the truck for the bakery.
Was anyone around last night when your friend Paul came in to borrow the truck? Maybe another customer, a waitress, somebody we could double-check with?
No, there were a couple other customers in the place. Don't know who they were, though. Why do you have to double-check anyway? I haven't done anything. I loaned Paul a truck, that's all.
Well, have you any way at all of proving you were here from 7 to 12 last night? Must have been some customers you waited on that you remember.
Sure, there are. At least half dozen of them. They'll tell you I was here.
Why'd you have their names and addresses if you don't mind, Miller?
Yeah. Excuse me a minute, huh? Got a customer to wait on.
Sure, go right ahead.
Hi, Dan. I missed you last night.
Hi, Fred. What do you have?
Coffee, a couple of those donuts back there, powdered sugar ones.
Okay.
Yeah, me and the missus dropped in for a sandwich after the show last night. Looking for you.
That's so?
Yeah, about 10:30. Where were you, Dan?
$7:15 p.m., Wednesday, December 22nd. We continued questioning the hit-run suspect, Daniel Miller, for a full hour, but he seemed to be unable to account for his time the previous night. His first story was that he'd been on duty behind the counter in the coffee shop without a break between the hours of 7 p.m. and midnight. Then, after the customer entered and disclosed that he was in the coffee shop at 10:30 the night before and that Miller was nowhere about, the suspect switched his story. He said he thought he left the coffee shop briefly for about 15 minutes between 10:30 and 10:45 p.m. to run down the street to a hotel to say goodbye to some friends of his who were leaving for New York. We checked at the hotel, but they didn't know Miller, and they hadn't seen him the night before. They were sure of it. We returned to the coffee shop and took up the questioning of the suspect all over again, but he made little or no sense at all. Apparently, he was piling up lie after lie in an effort to cover his tracks before and after the hit-and-run murder the night before. 7:48 p.m. Ben and I pulled Miller off the job at the coffee shop and took him downtown to the interrogation room.
I'm telling you, it's the truth. I wasn't in that truck last night. I wasn't in an accident. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, then give us something to go on, Miller. You've handed us 3 different stories so far. Not one of them strong enough to hold water.
I'm telling you the truth. What are you trying to hang this on me for? I didn't have a wreck and I didn't kill anybody. Why are you picking on me?
Because you don't make sense, mister. You're trying to sell us a story and you haven't got 1 ounce of proof to back it up. That bakery truck you're responsible for is the same truck that killed the old woman and the little boy. Now, you come up with a solid story that we can check on, or you're going to be resting your back in the main jail.
No wonder they call you cops dumb. I wasn't in that truck last night. Can't you get that through your heads? I wasn't in the truck. I didn't have an accident.
Then prove it to us, Mr. Miller. That's all we're waiting for.
Listen, call Bill Calder. He's a good customer. He was in last night, I think. He'll tell you. Go ahead and call him. He'll back up what I say.
What's his number, do you know?
Yeah, I got it. Here, right here in my wallet. Yeah, Bill can tell you. Yeah, here it is.
Thank you. Hello, William Calder there, please? Yes, ma'am, it's important. All right, will you have him call Michigan 5211? Yeah, 5211. That's extension 2512. Right, thank you very much. Well, he's busy. He'll call back in a minute.
He'll tell you the truth. I was in the coffee shop all night. Just those couple of minutes I ran down to the hotel to say goodbye to those friends of mine. That's the only time I left the place.
How come you couldn't tell us that to begin with, Miller? You say you've got nothing to hide? Well, why do you have to hand us 3 different stories? Which one are we supposed to believe?
I got nervous, that's all, when you first come in and started to ask questions. I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't know there was any trouble. I just loaned the truck to this guy, Paul, as a favor. How'd I know what he was going to do, getting himself in a jam like that?
All right, now try to look at it from where we stand, Miller. You loan out your truck to a man. You don't know his last name. You don't know where he lives. You say he must have been driving the truck when the lady and the boy were killed.
Sure, he must have been driving it. I wasn't. I was back at the coffee shop. I was there until midnight.
All right, then prove it to us. If you know the man well enough to loan him the truck, you ought to be able to find him.
No, they must be Bill Calder. He'll tell you. Go ahead. See what he says.
Interrogation room, Friday. Oh, yeah, Mr. Calder. Well, my name's Sergeant Friday, LAPD, Accident Investigation. Friday, yes, sir, that's right. Wonder if you'd tell me if you know a Daniel Miller? Mm-hmm. When's the last time you saw him? Do you remember? I see. The place where he works, the coffee shop? Were you in there last night by any chance? Did you see Miller in there? You're sure? Yes, sir. No, sir, that's all for now. Thank you very much. We're going to contact you later on. Thank you. Goodbye.
Well, how about it? He told you, didn't he? That enough for you?
He says he hasn't been in the coffee shop for 3 days. 9:45 p.m. Our interrogation of the hit-and-run suspect, Daniel Miller, went on. At his suggestion, we called half a dozen people who he figured might substantiate his alibi, but none of them were able to. Miller continued to deny any knowledge of the hit-run killing, but he still couldn't account for his whereabouts at the exact hour the 9-year-old boy and his grandmother were run down. The time element especially didn't work in his favor. Nothing worked in his favor. 11:30 p.m., Ben and I took Daniel Miller over to the main jail where he was booked in on suspicion of 480 V.C. The following afternoon, his lawyer obtained a writ, and he was released from custody. The writ was returnable in 5 days. He came immediately to the office to plead with Ben and I to help him find Paul, the man who'd borrowed his truck, and thus clear himself. We took him up on it. Either way, we figured we'd get to the bottom of it. If Miller dreamed up the character Paul to escape blame for the hit-and-run killing, we were bound to find out sooner or later. If Miller was telling the truth, we had little reason to believe he was, and a man named Paul had borrowed the truck the night of the hit-and-run killing, we were bound to find that out, too. In any event, we had to investigate. It's the job of the police officer to prove guilt or innocence, not guilt alone. 2 days passed, and then another 2. The Monday following the Christmas weekend, we were ready to call a halt.
I don't know what else we can do. I think we've given enough time, don't you?
Well, the deeper we get into it, the more it looks like Miller's our man. I still can't make up my mind.
Why do you have to be stubborn about it? We've checked every possible angle on this story. We still haven't an ounce of proof that this guy Paul he talks about even exists. We can't string along with Miller forever.
I suppose you're right. We've given him a square enough break on it. I still got that funny hunch. It's possible he might be telling the truth.
We've gone 4 straight days on it, Joe. Haven't come across one lead to back up his story. It's too much for me. I can't bite anymore.
Go ahead.
Sergeant?
Oh, how are you, Miller?
I'm okay. Glad to see you. I've been looking for you.
We've been looking for your friend, Miller. Still haven't found a trace of him.
That's why I came down to see you. A friend of mine called me this morning. He knows this guy, Paul, I told you about. He says he saw him last night, going into a hotel down on South Flower.
How come we haven't heard from this friend of yours before? We've checked through twice on the list of everybody you know.
This fellow's been out of town, just got back yesterday. When he heard about the jam I was in, he called me about St. Paul.
Mm-hmm. This hotel Paul was supposed to have been seen going into. Have you got the address of that?
Yeah, it's over on South Flower, right near 12th. You want to go over there with me right now? This friend of mine wouldn't kid me. Paul must be there.
You're sure about that?
He must be there. I'll bet a month's pay on it.
You might be low, mister.
What?
Stands to cost you a lot more than that.
We went up to the 3rd floor, room 318, but the man registered as Paul Barton wasn't in. He'd left no word at the desk as to when he'd return. We sent Miller home and told him to wait for our call. Ben and I went on stakeout at the hotel. At 7:25 that night, Paul Barton returned to his room and we began questioning him. He showed no signs of being upset. His answers were quick, straightforward, and they seemed to make sense. The interview went on. A half hour, an hour, and Barton began to grow a little nervous. He contradicted himself. Big holes began to show up in his story as to how and where he'd spent his time the night of the hit-run killing. 8:45 p.m. Ben and I took Barton back to the office. We found Zimmerman in the squad room and had him phone Miller at his home and ask him to come downtown as soon as possible. Meantime, we checked Paul Barton through R&I, and then we took him to the interrogation room where the questioning went on.
You're a little mixed up about that, aren't you, Mr. Barton? I thought you said you went to that bar downtown about 10 p.m. and then you went to visit at your sister's house. Now you tell us you went to your sister's house first and then you went to the bar downtown. Now, which is it?
Well, that's getting a little high-handed, isn't it? Why do I have to account for my time to you?
If it wasn't important, we wouldn't be asking you. I think you know that.
Well, I don't know anything of the kind. You're trying to take advantage of me. That's the only impression I can get. I think I've answered enough of your questions. I'm going back to the hotel.
Just a minute, Barton. There's one more thing.
Yeah?
Last time you were arrested for a traffic violation, you want to tell us what the charge was?
What?
I think you heard me.
Well, that was a year ago. I was driving a little too fast going out Beverly Boulevard. And what's that got to do with it?
Our record bureau says the charge was for drunk driving. Your license was revoked, isn't that right?
Well, so what? I haven't been driving. I haven't been near a car.
What about last Tuesday night?
Huh?
Last Tuesday night, did you do any driving then?
No, of course not.
You sure about that?
You're not trapping me. I answered all your questions. I'm getting
you're
out of
here. Stay right where you are, mister. Stay put. Ben, you want to check next door, see if Miller's come in?
Yeah, okay.
You can't make me stay here. It's illegal. You got nothing to hold me on.
All right, then there's nothing to worry about. This won't take very long. We got a man by the name of Miller coming in. He says he thinks he knows you.
Miller? I don't know any Miller.
Nice going, Paul. Where you been? I said, where you been? What'd you do with the truck? Here. Grab him, Ben. Grab him. Yeah, I got him. Okay, all right. Now, let me go.
Settle down. Come on, mister. Settle down.
I didn't do a thing. Well, look, you can't prove it. You can't prove I did.
They're going to prove it, Paul. I'm going to help them prove it. You sure been a real good friend.
But give me a break, Dan. I didn't mean it. Honest, I didn't mean it.
I loan you the truck. You get boozed up. You run down a little kid and a grandmother. Then you take off and leave me holding the sack, like I did it.
Well, I didn't mean it, Danny. It was an accident. I wasn't boozed up.
Yeah, you're a real good friend. I hope you get it in the neck. I hope you get it with both barrels.
Look, Sergeant, it's not true. I wasn't boozed up. I only had 2 drinks. Now, believe me, that's all I had.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been drunk. It doesn't affect me that way. 2 drinks never hurt me. A couple of drinks never hurt anybody.
They killed a little boy and his grandmother.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 28th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. Paul Barton was filed on for violation of the State Vehicle Code, Section 480, a hit-and-run felony, and also for manslaughter, 2 counts. He was convicted only for Section 480 and received sentence as prescribed by law. A hit-and-run felony is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 1 nor more than 5 years. Just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. One of your informants contacts you by telephone. He says he wants to see you immediately. He claims knowledge of more than 24 burglaries committed in your city. He offers the information despite threats against his own life. Your job, investigate. The latest Fatima sales report shows thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
For the month of October, coast-to-coast actual figures show Fatima sales are up 110%, or more than double.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class. But the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to extra mild Fatima. Next time, insist on the best. King-size Fatima in the distinctive golden yellow package.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, April 16th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 1:38 p.m. when we got to the corner of North Main and Sotelo Street. Johnny Cokin's Cafe.
Pretty well filled up. You want to sit at the counter?
There's a booth over there in the corner. People just leaving.
Oh, yeah. Didn't see it.
This is all right, isn't it?
Yeah, fine. Oh, it smells good. I wonder what the special is today.
Well, it's up there on the blackboard.
Oh, yeah. Enchilada with cheese, coleslaw, salad. Well, it does smell pretty good, doesn't it? Wish I hadn't had lunch. I should have waited. I keep forgetting Monday's enchilada day down here. Sure like the way Johnny fixes it.
Hello, Friday. Ben, how are you?
Brian, Roberta.
Here, get these dirty dishes out of the way.
Okay, fine.
You going to be the special?
No, we forgot today was Monday. We had lunch already.
Too bad. What'll it be, just coffee?
Yeah, it's fine.
Friday?
Yeah, same for me, Roberta. Both of them black, I guess.
Okay, 2 blacks.
Say, you haven't seen Smalley around this afternoon, have you, Roberta? Red Smalley?
Red? No, I haven't seen him for a couple of days.
Okay.
Thought he said to meet him here at 1:30.
Well, he'll be along. He's never been on time as long as I've known him.
Yeah, I wonder what's eating him. He sounded a little excited on the phone.
Did he give you any idea what it was all about?
No, just said it was important. Had to see it. Hey, I was just thinking, maybe I could handle one of those enchiladas after all.
Yeah, there's Red.
All right,
fellas. Hope I ain't late.
All right.
Been a long time,
Yeah,
huh?
sit down, Red. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. What's new with you, anyway?
Oh, not too much. How's it with you?
Here are 2 coffees black. How are you, Ed?
Hungry. What about a hamburger steak, huh? Some coffee, too.
Hamburger steak and coffee, right?
You're looking pretty fair shape, Red. You working steady now?
Well, you know how it goes. On again, off again. Put in a full month playing bar boy at Ziggy's joint place down in South Main, you know.
Mm-hmm. What happened there?
Business fell off, and Ziggy said he had to let me go. Been kind of thin ever since. I'm hustling programs out of the racetrack right now. It's not too bad. Can't afford to bet, but I get to see the races free. You can't have everything, I guess.
I understand you're a little worried about something, Red. Anything serious?
Well, yeah, might be. Like I was telling Romero on the phone, it wouldn't do me no good if it got out. I mean, me talking to you about it, you know. He'd probably tie a can to my tail if he knew I told you.
Who's that?
Guy by the name of Jeff Allen. You know him?
No, it doesn't sound familiar to me. Ben?
Me neither. Who is he, Red?
Second-story worker. Lots of savvy, too. He's fell a couple of times on burglary raps. Knows his business, though. Got a lot of moxie.
How long's he been in town, you know?
Well, about 6 months, I think. Come from the east. Finished a stretch back in Michigan. He's a real pro.
Uh-huh. What's he doing out here, Red?
Well, matter of fact, that's what I want to talk to you about. Figured maybe you ought to know.
Yeah?
He's doing real good, the way I get it. I heard him and a couple other guys talking about it one night down at Ziggy's. They were having a couple of beers. Guess they didn't think I could hear him.
What'd they have to say?
This guy Allen was running off about how good he was doing, how many places he knocked over in the last couple of months, how much stuff he took.
And what's he look like, Ray?
Oh, pretty average. About my height. Dark hair, little scar right here in his chin.
Mm-hmm.
About 160, 70 maybe, 36 years old. Usually wears leather jacket and black one.
All right, Red, here you go. Burger steak, coffee.
Yeah, fine. Sure got a good appetite these days, working out in the air, you know. It does you good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll show you one pass around by with Fletcher, Sergeant.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Good.
These burglary jobs Alan's supposed to be pulling, Red. Where's he working them? Do you know that?
Well, no, I guess I don't. It's all over town, I suppose. Sure good hamburger.
When you overheard him talking to his friends, did he mention any jobs in particular that he pulled?
No, but he's working hard. I know that for a fact. He pulls a new one every week or so, the way I get it.
And what about his M.O., Ray?
Regular second-story routine. He uses a jimmy or a small pinch bar. He usually goes through a window.
Does he work alone?
Strictly. His French bread's nice and fresh.
Yeah. Where's Alan staying in town? Do you know, Red?
No, I don't. I know where I can find him, though. The 1322 Club out on North Paris. He hangs out there quite a bit, almost every night. I think the guy who owns the joint's a friend of his.
Jeff Allen. Is that supposed to be his right name, Red?
As far as I know, I only met him a couple of times. He hung around Ziggy's place when he first come to town. Of course, I didn't know what he was up to then.
Do you know him well enough to talk to him?
Well, just about, yeah. I'm not buddies with him or anything. That's why I don't want it to get out, you know. If he gets the word I'm on your team, I'm a dead duck. I don't think he wastes a minute killing me.
You don't have to worry, Red. We'll keep it quiet. Well, did you hear anything else? Or is that just about the size of him?
No, that's just about it, fellas. I'll keep near the ground. If I get any more rumbles, I'll pass it on. Well, I guess you know I really hate to talk about it.
What's that, Red?
Well, I mean how bad things have been running lately, you know, since I got laid off at Ziggy's.
Uh-huh.
I hustle like mad with the programs down the track. Doesn't bring in a whole lot, though. And a lousy landlady had to raise my rent last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much can you use, Red?
Well, you know, as far as anything at all, just a little loan, maybe something to help me over the hump.
Well, the only thing I have is a 20, Joe. You got any change?
Oh, thanks, Romero. 20 will be fine. That's plenty. I sure appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, real good hamburger steak Johnny puts out. I gotta get going, fellas. Gotta be down the track.
All right, Red. Thanks a lot. If there's anything else, call us, huh? You got our number.
Sure thing. I'll stay right on.
Mm-hmm.
You want me for anything, holler, huh? I'm still at the same place.
Right.
Thanks a lot, huh? See you later.
Yeah. Take it easy, Red.
Yeah. Bye, Red. He's getting a little expensive, huh?
He's probably been having a rough time, but he looked hungry to me.
Sure did. Grabbed that $20 bill like his life depended on it. I went to buy some new wool socks with there.
Well, I'll split it with you. Be worth more than $20 if the tip pays off.
Well, don't get me wrong. I didn't mind giving him the $20. It was worth it, but look at this here.
Oh, you have to check for the food, huh?
Yeah, I think the least he could have done was pay for his own lunch.
By and large, the character of the informant, in fact or fiction, isn't generally regarded with too much sympathy. To most people, the informant's nothing more than a stool pigeon, a squealer, somebody who, by the very act of informing, commits a sin against a supposedly popular unwritten law. Well, it's obvious that this isn't always so, because in the interests of law enforcement and justice, which means the betterment of the community, the informant very often plays a major role. Year after year, informants are responsible for the apprehension and conviction of many hundreds of criminals, people who rob and cheat and commit murder, crimes that are obviously far deadlier than informing. As for the mechanics of law enforcement at the level of the working detective, the informant is considered virtually indispensable. It's been said before by peace officers, and it'll probably be said again quite a few times. If your job is catching criminals and enforcing the law, this is the first rule you have to learn. The working detective is no better than his informants. 2:12 p.m. Ben and I had no idea if the information we'd gotten from Red Smalley was authentic or not, but it had to be checked out. We went back to the office and had Frank Cunningham and R&I check on Jeff Allen. We also had the stats office make a run for us on suspects with similar M.O.s. Then we started to page through reports of burglaries which had occurred throughout the city during the past 3 months.
No.
How you doing over there? Anything at all?
Not too much. Wait a minute, maybe. This might be one of them.
Yeah, let me see.
Home in Hollenbeck Park neighborhood. Burglar's M.O. matches out and a time element, too. Happened 6 weeks ago. Window on the second floor of the house was pried open. They took furs and money, $23.
Uh-huh. That's the only one you found?
Another one here I took out a minute ago. M.O.'s pretty much the same on this one, too. Only thing different is the night of the week it happened on. This one's a Thursday. That one there's a Sunday.
Yeah, it checks out pretty close otherwise. The only one thing I can't figure.
What's that?
Well, Alan's supposed to have been in the city for at least 6 months. According to Red, he's working a job maybe once a week, once every 10 days or so. Now, you got 2 reports there that match his M.O. here. I picked out 2 more from that other pile. Seems to me if he's been working in town for a couple of months, there ought to be more than 4 reports on him, shouldn't there?
I got it. Burglary in Merrill. Oh, yeah, Frank. Jeff Allen. That so? Oh, you have, huh? Okay, right, Frank. Thank you.
Yeah?
R&I got to make on Allen. He's had one arrest here 4 years ago on a vag charge. He's a loser out of Michigan. Fell for burglary. Never been picked up for burglary here, though. He isn't registered.
And that's all, huh?
That's it.
Doesn't seem to gel right to me, does it to you?
A lot of loose ends to figure out.
I wonder if Red was handing us a line on this thing.
Why would he?
Well, maybe he needed that $20 touch. Maybe this Jeff Allen's an old pal of his. Red had a falling out with him. He wants to get even with him, I suppose.
Possible, I guess. I don't know.
Hi, Joe. Ben?
Oh, hello,
David. What do you say? What's with you? You still in that stakeout south end of town?
Yeah, 3rd week. Sure getting dull. You two are busy. What's all this?
Oh, we got a tip on some prowl artist trying to get a line on.
Take a look at this 3.1, will you, Jim? You run into any jobs recently that stack up like this in here?
Let's see.
We're shooting in the dark on it so far. I don't know if we got anything or not.
I'd say you got it. Burglary report in 77 Division this morning. Happened to check it when I was out there.
Same M.O. as this?
Same everything.
4:55 p.m. Ben and I went down the hall to the record bureau and picked up a couple of mug shots of the suspect, Jefferson Allen. Then we drove out to the 1322 Club on North Ferris Avenue in the Silver Lake District, the neighborhood bar where Allen spent most of his time, according to our informant, Red Smalley. We staked out in a car down the street where we could keep an eye on the front door to the bar and still not look suspicious. Between 5 and 7:30 p.m., we watched at least 24 customers entering or leaving the bar, but none of them came close to Allen's description. 8 p.m., nothing. By the time we were relieved on stakeout at 11 p.m., Allen still had failed to show. Late the following afternoon, we were back at the same spot, watching for a sign of the suspect. 6:48 p.m.
How you fixed the smokes?
Oh, I think I got a couple left. Yeah, here you go.
Oh, thanks.
Los Angeles.
I got a light here.
Yeah.
11A, 6th and Spring. 118, 6th and Spring.
Hey, have a look, Joe. Gray hat, dark suit. Just came out of the bar.
Yeah, it's coming this way. Yeah, I'll buy it. That's him.
Getting in that blue sedan.
All right, don't press him. Let's give him a good lead.
All right.
He's getting in.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Joe?
Let's wait a minute. Yeah, okay, we're clear.
All right.
You got him spotted?
Yeah, no trouble. That's a funny one, huh? Wonder why we didn't see him go in the bar.
I don't know. Might be a delivery entrance in the back of the place we could have missed.
Can you make out that license number?
You pull out just a little?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, let's see. 7 Tom 7 972. I better check it. 80K to Control 1. 80K to Control 1.
Control 1 to 80K. Go ahead.
Control 1. Request rolling make and DMV on 7 Tom 7 972. That's 7 Tom 7 972.
Control 1 to 80K, Roger. Stand by. KMA 367.
Doesn't seem to be in any great hurry. Barely poking along.
Where is he now? I can't see.
Just turned right onto Bronson. I want to give him plenty of lead. Yeah, that's him up ahead there.
Picking up speed. Now don't lose him.
All right.
Control 1 to 80K. Control 1 to 80K. Come in, please.
Here we go. 80K to Control 1. Go ahead.
7 Tom 7972. The car is registered to D. Denver J. John Carpenter, 1322 North Ferris Avenue, Los Angeles.
80K to Control 1. Roger. KMA 367.
Carpenter, same guy that owns the bar, isn't it? His Allen must know him pretty well.
Well enough to use his car. Wonder what the pitch is there. You checked on Carpenter, didn't you?
Yeah, clean bill of health, no record. Hey, up ahead there. Now he's slowing down.
Yeah. Turning up on that driveway. Pull up under that tree there, huh?
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
See him?
Uh-huh. Getting out. Going into that bungalow over there. Letting himself in the front door.
No sign of anybody else there, huh?
No. House was dark when we drove up, wasn't it?
He couldn't be living there alone.
He might be.
Doesn't make much sense to me. Why would a single guy get himself a house that day?
Well, let's wait it out. Maybe he'll come up with the answer. 9:15 p.m. We continued our stakeout on the bungalow on South Bronson Avenue. A little more than an hour passed when we saw the lights go out in the house. The suspect, Jeff Allen, came out the front door, locked up, got in his car, and drove off. Ben and I followed him. He drove directly to the bar on North Ferris Avenue, the 1322 Club. He parked his car and went inside. Ben and I drove back to the cottage on South Bronson and let ourselves in through the back door. A preliminary check of the house failed to give us any real proof that Allen was the suspect we wanted. The only possible lead we came up with was an expensive hunting rifle, which we found stored away in one of the closets. We copied down the serial number on the gun, drove to a neighborhood cigar store, called the office, and asked him to check out the number for us.
Yeah, right, Murph. We'll wait for the call. Yeah, thanks.
How'd you do?
Gonna check it through now. They'll call us.
Good. I'm a little hungry, aren't you? Would you like candy bar?
No, I'm getting a little tired of them. I wouldn't mind a square meal, though. My back's killing me. Never been so sore in my life.
Well, what's the matter? Did you fall?
No, nothing like that. It's my snoring again.
You're snoring? What's that got to do with it?
Almost broke my back. It's the wife's idea. She claims when I'm sleeping, I roll over on my back and snore, says it keeps her awake all night.
Well, there's not much you can do about it, is there?
Yeah, the wife thought of something. Supposed to be an old home remedy. She sewed a couple of golf balls right into the back of my pajamas. You get the idea behind it? If you roll over on your back, the golf balls dig into you and you have to roll over on your side again.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what happened to you?
Well, I'm a sound sleeper. Rolled over on my back and stayed there. Slept on those golf balls all night. Woke up in the morning like to have died. Felt like I'd snapped a couple of vertebrae.
Must be an easier way to keep you from sleeping on your back.
Well, it wouldn't do any good anyhow, Joe. It just won't work.
What do you mean?
I snore just as loud sleeping on my side.
I get it. Hello? Yeah, Murph. This is Joe Friday. Mm-hmm. W615344? Yeah, that checks. That was a serial number on it. When was that? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Murph. Thanks. Bye. I think maybe we got a break.
Yeah?
They got a make on the gun we found.
Is it registered to Allen?
No, it was taken in a burglary 2 months ago.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Millions heard it, yet only 46 have written.
Starting on Dragnet over a month and a half ago, on September 20th to be exact, Fatima made a special money-back offer to more than 10 million listeners. The results? Amazing.
Millions heard it, yet only 46 have written.
If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's famous offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos. If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before December 1st, and we'll give you your money back, plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Fatima's latest sales report shows Fatima sales up in every state in America. The month of October, coast to coast, actual figures show Fatima sales up 110%, or more than double.
Yes, thousands and thousands of Americans are switching to king-size Fatima. So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Extra mild. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Tuesday night, April 17th, 10:38 p.m. We got additional information from the office on the hunting rifle that we'd found in the bungalow to which we'd trailed the suspect, Jefferson Allen, a few hours earlier. The gun was registered to a Mr. Robert LaSalle, 3008 Bush Street. The rifle, along with $300 in jewelry and $48 in cash, had been taken from LaSalle's home 2 months before during his family's absence. The burglar's method of operation matched Allen's alleged M.O. exactly. 10:45 p.m. After arranging for a stakeout to be placed on the bungalow on Bronson Avenue, Ben and I drove to the 1322 Club on North Ferris, where we located the suspect, Jeff Allen.
Yes, sir, that's correct, Sergeant. I'm from back in Michigan originally. Been out here about 6 months now. Think I'm going to like it. Sure can't beat this weather, huh?
You've been working here at the bar ever since you got in town, is that right?
No, not quite. I've been here for about 4 months. It's kind of a handyman job. I help the bartender when I can, keep the storeroom in order, see everything ship-shape, you know.
Uh-huh. You ever been in Los Angeles before, Allen?
Yeah, just once before, a couple of years ago. Wasn't so good then. Jobs were hard to get. I ran into a little bit of trouble. Finally went back east again.
I see. What was this trouble you had?
Well, as I say, jobs were pretty hard to come by then. I kept checking around, but I couldn't find anything. Wasn't so good. I finally got picked up on a bag charge.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a couple of weeks at the county. When I got out, I figured the best thing was head back east again. A lot better this time, though. I'm doing okay. See, I couldn't get you anything.
No, thanks. It's the same.
There's something maybe you'd like to talk to me about? Anything I can help you with?
It's a routine checkup we're on. Got a few more questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure. Let's take one of these booths back here, huh? Might as well be comfortable.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
You sure I couldn't get you anything? A bottle of beer, Coke, maybe?
No, thanks.
You have your family out here with you, Alan, your wife?
No, I'm not married, Sergeant. I haven't taken the plunge yet. Figure there's plenty of time for that. It's hard enough to keep myself going these days, let alone a family.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You ever been arrested before, Alan? I mean, other than that bag charge you mentioned, you ever served any big time?
Yeah, matter of fact, I have, back in Michigan. Pretty dumb trick. I got in trouble as a kid. Burglary. Served all my time, though. I don't owe them a day. I'm washed up with that stuff a long time ago. It just doesn't pay, that's all.
Then that last time there was any trouble was that bag charge. Is that it?
Yes, sir, that's it. As I say, I'm all washed up with that stuff. It doesn't pay off at all. I got wise to that.
Mm-hmm. Glad to hear it, Alan. You figure you're going to stay on here, then. Make this your permanent home.
Yeah, I think I might. I sure like the weather. Job suits me, too. Boss even lets me use his car once in a while. Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, huh? Where you living now? You got an apartment in the neighborhood here?
Yeah, I got an apartment. Nice little place. Not exactly in the neighborhood, though. It's out in West Hollywood, right on a bus line. No trouble getting into work. Just a small apartment.
Whereabouts in West Hollywood? You mind giving us the address?
No, it's on Norwich Avenue. Why do you ask?
It's part of this routine check we have to make. You mind very much if we drive out there with you and look the place over?
No, I don't mind. I mean, if you figure I need checking out, I'd just as soon clear it up now. I got nothing to hide. You want me to get my coat?
No, that's all right.
Say, I should be back here in an hour or so. What do you think? I mean, it's just a routine check. It won't take long, will it?
No, not too long. I suppose you can figure that better than we can.
How do you mean?
You said you had nothing to hide. 11:20 p.m. We drove the suspect, Jeff Allen, to his apartment on Norwich Avenue. It was more than 2.5 miles from the bungalow on South Bronson, where we'd followed Allen earlier that night and where we'd located the stolen hunting rifle. While Ben and I made a thorough check of the apartment, Allen sat relaxed in an easy chair. Ben and I covered everything in the apartment, but there was no evidence of any loot taken in the burglaries.
That's about it, Joe. Checked everything.
Okay.
That's about it, huh, Sergeant? You fellas want a beer before we go back to the club?
Just one or two more questions, Alan, and I think we can wash this thing up.
Sure, Sergeant.
Do you rent some other place in town? Another house or an apartment, maybe?
Another place? No, why would I do that? This is my apartment. This is where I live. Why do you ask that?
About 6 o'clock tonight, you were seen going into a bungalow over on South Bronson, the same neighborhood as the club where you work. We got a pretty good idea that there's quite a bit of loot from burglaries stored in that house.
I don't follow you, Sergeant. I don't know what you mean. I don't live on South Bronson. I live here. You ought to be able to tell that.
You were seen going into the bungalow, Alan, about 5 minutes past 6 tonight. We found a stolen hunting rifle in the house. It was taken in a burglary. You think you want to tell us about it?
No, I can't tell you anything about it. I don't have any bungalow on South Bronson. I'm not even sure I can tell you where the street is.
Well, you better get your hat, mister. We'll show you. 11:48 p.m. We got in the car and started driving down Beverly Boulevard back toward the bungalow on South Bronson Avenue. When we got to the bungalow, the suspect still refused to admit that he had a key to the door or that he was in any way concerned with the place. We had him empty his pockets, and among his possessions we found a ring of keys. We tried them on the front door of the bungalow. The fourth one we tried opened it. We went inside. Alan still would admit nothing. Ben contacted the landlady next door, and she said she'd be right over. I continued questioning him while Ben checked through the house again.
Hey, Joe.
Oh.
Joe, you want to come back here? I think we've got something.
Yeah, all right, Ben. You want to go ahead back there, Alan?
Sure, okay. Still can't tell you what the score is, though. I don't belong in this place. It ain't mine.
Well, that key you had seemed to fit the front door all right. How do you figure that?
It doesn't mean anything. I had that key for years. I think it's a skeleton key. It opens almost any kind of lock.
Down here, Joe. Small basement here. Leads right down off the kitchen.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, Alan.
Have a look, Joe. Line of cupboards all the way around here. Check them for yourself.
Yeah, all right. It's a pretty good haul. Furs, machinist tools. Jewelry. Quite a bit of it here. A couple of radios. 2 more hunting rifles. Come on, how about it, Alan? You want to save time for all of us now?
You got it wrong, Sergeant. This isn't my place, I told you. When I got out of that trouble back east, I made up my mind I was all washed up with this kind of stuff. This house isn't mine. I haven't got anything to do with it.
You're kidding yourself, Alan. You know that.
No, you got it all wrong. You got it all mixed up.
Well, we'll let the landlady tell us.
The woman who owns this house, she's on her way over from next door. She ought to be able to tell us who she rented the place to. Wouldn't you say so? Wouldn't you?
She might be wrong. It's possible.
No, look, we got you dead to rights, mister. Why not face it?
Can't. I won't do it. I made up my mind the last time. It wouldn't happen again. I was all washed up with it. I won't go through it again. They'll send me back. I won't be able to take it.
Maybe you should have figured that before you started in.
I didn't mean to. I was all washed up with that stuff. I told you that the first time I saw you, didn't I?
Yep.
I'm sure of it, too. I wouldn't try it again. Didn't pay. It's just what I told you. I'm all through with it. I'm washed up with it. I never lied to you, did I?
What's the difference?
Huh?
You lied to yourself.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 6th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. September. Fatima first made its famous money-back offer. Millions heard it, yet only 46 have written. October. Actual figures reported Fatima's sales up 110% coast to coast, or more than double. November. Thousands more switching to Fatima. So why wait? Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes. And, Mr. Dealer, that's your cue for November. This month, with Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up, I know you'll want to get your full share of all the new Fatima business. Check your Fatima stock tomorrow. Make sure you can take care of the thousands of Americans who are switching to Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality.
The apprehension of the suspect, Jefferson Harold Allen, resulted in clearing 22 cases of burglaries committed over the past 4 months. Allen was indicted on 22 counts of first-degree burglary and received sentence as prescribed by law. First-degree burglary is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, Only 2.6 patients out of every 100 reaching the most forward hospitals in Korea died later. The comparable figure in World War II was 4.5. According to official medical statements, the almost miraculous success in saving the lives of casualties is owing in part to the prompt use of blood plasma on the battlefield and whole blood in military hospitals. Whole blood reduces shock, a potential killer, and replaces blood lost through bleeding. In the treatment of many battle casualties, there's no substitute for blood. Every American who has given blood can and should feel he personally has contributed directly to the saving of the life of an American boy. This month, your country is short 300,000 pints of blood. Please give your blood and save a life.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Today is the silver anniversary of NBC.